My son's name was on my bedroom door, not a note taped at eye level, not a cardboard sign left over from some joke. Cole, in black vinyl letters, straight enough that he'd probably used a ruler. I stood in the upstairs hallway with my duffel bag hanging from one hand and stared at it. 47 days earlier, that door had been mine. I had left the house with 2 shirts, 1 pair of jeans, and the belief that residential treatment was something other people needed. Now my name was nowhere, and my 37-year-old son's name had been pressed onto my door like a permanent correction. There were 4 clear storage tubs lined against the opposite wall. Through the plastic, I could see my gray sweater, a stack of books, and the blue robe Diane bought me 3 Christmases before our divorce. I set the duffel down. Cole? A chair rolled across the floor inside my bedroom. Footsteps followed, and the door opened beneath his name. Cole looked past me toward the stairs before he looked at my face. "You're early," he said. That was when I wondered whether my son had prepared for my return, or had quietly been hoping I wouldn't come back at all. 11 is generally considered 11, I said. He checked his watch. The discharge email said noon. The discharge email was written by a woman who believes everybody needs an hour to say goodbye. I did my crying yesterday. You could have called. I did. Twice. Cole took his phone from his back pocket and looked at the screen. He had always checked evidence before deciding whether I was telling the truth, even before I gave him reasons. "Oh," he said. I had it on focus. I looked beyond him. My bed was gone. In its place sat a wide black desk with 2 monitors, a printer, and the leather office chair I had given him when he started working from home. My dresser had been moved too. The wall where it used to stand looked indecently pale. Cole had put a narrow mattress along the far wall, made up with my sheets. He shifted sideways, blocking more of the view. "We should go downstairs," he said. "What happened to my bed?" "It's safe." That wasn't my question. "It's in the garage." I looked at the letters again. They were the kind you could order online in whatever font made you feel most official. These were all capitals. No ambiguity. No decorative flourish. And this? Cole followed my eyes as if he had forgotten his own name was there. "It helps define space." "Does it?" "Dad." "I've been away 47 days, Cole. I'm not confused about which one of us is which." His mouth tightened. I had been home less than 5 minutes, and already I was doing it, using a calm voice like a little polished blade. In treatment, they called that controlled aggression. At home, I had called it not yelling. Cole stepped into the hallway and pulled the door closed behind him. "Your stuff is in the guest room," he said. "I cleaned everything. There were bottles in your closet, under the bed, behind the hamper. 1 in a boot." "Which boot?" He stared at me. "I'm curious." "The brown one. That boot always hurt my foot." Jesus Christ. It was a joke. Not a good one, but I had been making bad jokes in bad rooms my whole life. Cole didn't smile. He picked up my duffel before I could stop him and carried it into the guest room. I followed. The room had once been painted yellow, though the color had faded into something that looked like old teeth. A twin bed stood against the wall beneath boxes labeled Taxes, Winter, and Kitchen Misc. My clothes had been hung in the small closet, packed so tightly the hangers made a scraping sound when Cole pushed them aside. "I put fresh towels in the bathroom," he said. "Your medications are in the top drawer. I don't have medications. Vitamins, then. Whatever they sent home. They didn't send me home with vitamins. They sent me home with unresolved childhood resentment and a folder." He dropped my duffel on the bed. "Can you not do this?" "Do what?" "Turn everything into a bit." That landed more cleanly than I wanted it to. I sat on the edge of the narrow mattress. It gave a long metal squeak. Cole was dressed for work in a button-down shirt, dark jeans, and socks with tiny sailboats on them. He looked tired, not treatment center tired, where exhaustion was discussed in circles and served with herbal tea. He looked like he had slept badly for weeks and was angry at sleep for failing him. "Where's Dana?" I asked. "At work. I thought she'd come over." "Why?" "To say hello." "She has a job, Dad. I remember. People mention jobs where I was. She'll come by when she can." He said it too quickly, but I had been warned about searching other people's faces for evidence that the world had changed without me. It was one of my specialties. I could detect a withheld opinion from 3 rooms away and miss a bottle directly in front of me. Cole crossed his arms. "Mara wanted to be here, but I told her we should keep today low pressure. You decided who could welcome me home?" She agreed. "After you decided. She's nervous. About me? What do you think? There it was, not loud. Cole had learned from the best. I looked down at my hands. The skin across my knuckles had loosened during those 47 days. My counselor Evelyn said, bodies sometimes showed the surrender before minds did. I thought that sounded like something printed on a mug, but I liked her anyway. I think she has reason to be nervous, I said. Cole's face changed, only a little. I'm not pretending the garage didn't happen. You slept through an entire night with the engine running. The garage door was open. Halfway, I know. Do you? Yes. He rubbed the heel of his palm against one eye. You say that now. I almost told him I had said it there too. In the intake room, in group, to Evelyn, to a man named Leonard who had been sober 18 years and still carried peppermints because he missed the burn of whiskey. But none of those people had found me in the truck. None had stood in exhaust and yanked at a locked handle while I slept. Cole pointed toward the hall. Come downstairs when you're ready. There's food. He left before I could answer. For a while I sat on the guest bed listening to him descend the stairs. The house carried sound differently than I remembered. Every step had a hollow center. I opened my duffel. On top was the folder they gave me at discharge. Aftercare Plan, printed in blue across the front. Under it sat a smooth gray stone from Evelyn's office. She kept a bowl of them on her desk and told us to take one when we left. What's the stone for? I had asked. To remind you that you can carry something without fixing it. Couldn't I carry a sandwich? You could, Martin. She never took the bait. It made her exhausting. I put the stone in the drawer beside the bed and found 3 amber prescription bottles lined neatly inside. They were old, all empty, all mine. Cole must have found them in the bathroom and assumed they mattered. One was from a dental surgery. One was for cholesterol medication. I stopped taking because the pills upset my stomach. The third label had peeled away. For a second, I imagined calling him back and asking why he had put trash beside my socks. Instead, I closed the drawer. Downstairs, the house smelled like white vinegar and lemon disinfectant. Cole had cleaned the place so thoroughly, it no longer smelled like us. The living room windows were open despite the cold. My recliner was missing. A stiff gray chair had replaced it, angled toward the coffee table, as if waiting for an interview. Cole was in the kitchen, spooning soup from a pot into 2 bowls. You made this? I asked. Dana did. When? He put the lid back on the pot. Yesterday. I sat at the table. My usual chair was gone. Not removed from the room, just moved to the far side. And for reasons I couldn't explain, that bothered me nearly as much as the bedroom. A sheet of paper had been attached to the refrigerator with 2 magnets. Monday through Friday. Below that were times. 7:30, breakfast. 8 o'clock, walk. 9:30, meeting/recovery work. 12 o'clock lunch. 3 o'clock check-in. 6 o'clock dinner. 10:30, lights out. I read it twice. Did the Navy call? I asked. They're going to want this back. It's structure. It's 10:30 bedtime. It's a baseline. We can adjust it. We? Cole set a bowl in front of me. Tomato soup. The surface was perfectly smooth. Routine matters right now. I know. Then why are you fighting it? I asked a question. No, you're doing that thing where every question is really an accusation. He sat across from me. Between us was a sleeve of crackers and the silence of 2 men who knew too much about each other's worst habits. I picked up my spoon. Is 3 o'clock check-in with you? Me or Mara. I'm 62. And 47 days sober. 49. What? I stopped drinking 2 days before I went in. Cole looked at me for a moment. Okay. 49. The correction didn't feel as good as I had expected. He opened the crackers and scattered a few beside his bowl. I talked to your counselor. I put the spoon down. You talked to Evelyn? She called last week. She called the family contact I gave the center. That is not the same as you and my counselor discussing me. She asked about the home environment. And you decided the environment needed office furniture. I decided you shouldn't go back into the exact room where you hid alcohol. So you moved into it. I needed somewhere to work. You have a house. The instant I said it, his eyes went flat. I'm having some work done there. What kind? Repairs. Is Dana staying there during the repairs? Yes. Then why aren't you? Because I'm here. It was an answer built entirely out of doors. My phone buzzed on the table. Mara's name filled the screen. Cole reached toward it, stopped himself, and leaned back. I answered, Hello, sweetheart. Hey, Dad. Her voice was bright in the way people sounded when they were trying not to scare a dog. "You home?" "I appear to be. How was the drive?" "Your mother took the long way because she still doesn't believe the county fixed the bridge." "They didn't fix it," Diane called through the phone in my memory. "They painted it." Mara gave a small laugh. Then she asked, "How does everything feel?" I looked at the schedule on the refrigerator. Cole was watching his soup. "Clean," I said. "Cole worked really hard. I can tell. He's been over there every day." Cole shook his head slightly, as if asking her not to make a fuss. It was the kind of modest gesture you performed when you knew someone was watching. Mara kept talking. She asked whether I had unpacked, whether I liked the guest room, whether I had a meeting that night. She already knew about the guest room. Of course she did. "You want to come for dinner tomorrow?" I asked. A pause. "Maybe." "Let's see how you settle in." "I'm not gunpowder, Mara." Cole closed his eyes. "I didn't say you were." "No, I know." Another pause. "All right," I said. "We'll see. I love you. I love you too." After we hung up, Cole stood and carried his untouched bowl to the sink. That was unnecessary. What was? The gunpowder comment. It was a joke. No, it was designed to make her feel guilty. I wanted to tell him he was wrong. The trouble was, he wasn't completely wrong, and partial innocence had gotten me through 30 years of drinking. "I'll call her later," I said. "Don't call her to fix it. Just don't do it next time." He rinsed his bowl, set it in the dishwasher, and walked out. I finished the soup alone. That evening I attended a meeting in the basement of a Lutheran church 6 blocks away. Cole offered to drive. I told him I wanted to walk. He asked 3 times whether I had my phone, then watched from the porch until I turned the corner. When I got back, the downstairs lights were off. A line of gold showed beneath my bedroom door upstairs, beneath Cole's name. I went into the guest room, changed into sweatpants, and lay on the narrow bed. The mattress squeaked every time I breathed too deeply. Through the wall, I heard Cole speaking on the phone. "No, Dana, I can't leave yet," he said. "He just got home." A silence followed. "I know what we agreed, but you didn't see him today." Another silence. Then Cole lowered his voice, though not enough. "I'm the one putting my life on hold here." I stared at the boxes stacked above me and listened to my son use me as the reason he couldn't go home. I waited for Cole to say what he had seen in me that day. Slurred words, shaking hands, a bottle tucked beneath my jacket. Instead, he said, "He's already pushing back on everything." Dana's reply was too faint to make out. "No, I'm not looking for an excuse." Another silence. "Can we please not do this tonight?" The floor creaked, and I shut my eyes like a man afraid of being caught eavesdropping in his own house. Cole's door opened. His bare feet moved down the hallway and stopped outside the guest room. Light drew a thin line beneath my door. I kept breathing evenly. After a few seconds, he continued toward the bathroom. I stared into the dark until the pipes stopped knocking. Then I reached for my phone and checked the time. 11:23. 53 minutes passed, lights out. I considered reporting myself in the morning. Sleep came in pieces. At 6, I gave up and went downstairs. Cole had set the coffee maker to start automatically at 6:30, but there was a bright note taped across the basket. Decaf only. I peeled it off, folded it once, and left it beside the machine. The cabinet where I kept coffee mugs had been reorganized. Mine used to sit on the bottom shelf because I didn't see the point of reaching past objects I used every day. Cole had arranged everything by height. The tall travel mugs were on the left, ceramic mugs in the middle, short cups on the right. My chipped red one was missing. I searched the dishwasher and the sink. "What are you looking for?" Cole stood in the doorway, wearing running shorts and a gray sweatshirt. He had one hand on the frame and the wary expression of a hotel manager who had heard glass break. My mug. Which one? The red one. I threw it out. I looked at him. It was chipped. For 12 years. It had a crack running down the side. It held coffee. Until it didn't. I opened a different cabinet and took out a white mug that said, "World's Best Dad." Mara had given it to me as a joke after I forgot her birthday lunch and arrived 3 hours late with a gas station bouquet. At least I thought it had been a joke. Cole entered the kitchen. "You're supposed to eat before coffee. Good morning to you too." I'm serious. Blood sugar swings can feel like cravings. Did Evelyn say that? I read it. Where? Online. The internet also says I have 6 kinds of cancer. He exhaled through his nose. I filled the coffee maker with water. There are eggs, he said. I can make you some. I know how. Fine. He stood there while I cracked 2 eggs into a pan. I had cooked breakfast in that kitchen thousands of times, but under his supervision I became aware of every movement, the amount of butter, the flame, the way I left the carton open on the counter. Cole checked the schedule on the refrigerator. You have a walk at 8. I'm holding one now. I have a call at 8:30. We could go before. We could also not. His jaw shifted. I turned the eggs. Are you and Dana separated? He went still. No. All right, why would you ask that? I heard you on the phone. You were listening? I was lying 6 feet away in a room with walls made of crackers. That was a private conversation. So, move it somewhere private. His face colored. You don't get to interrogate me. I asked one question, based on something you listened to through a wall. You told Dana you were putting your life on hold because of me. I am here, aren't I? I didn't ask you to be. No, you just created a situation where somebody had to. The eggs began to brown at the edges. I turned off the burner. Cole's phone vibrated in his pocket. He took it out, read the screen, and typed a reply with both thumbs. Dana, I asked. My boss. Should I put his name on the bedroom door? Cole looked up slowly. That one was cheap. I knew it as soon as I said it. He put the phone away. You want to know why I'm here? Fine. Because Mara won't do it. Mom shouldn't have to. Dana agreed I was the logical person. I can work from anywhere. You can't sleep from anywhere? What does that mean? Nothing. No, say it. I slid the eggs onto a plate. One yolk had broken. It means you look tired. I've been cleaning up your mess for a month and a half. You were tired before I left. He stared at me as though I had reached across the counter and touched a bruise. Then he smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. 49 days sober, and suddenly you're a relationship expert. I asked if you were all right. No, you didn't. You found a softer way to accuse me of lying. He left the kitchen without taking coffee or breakfast. A minute later, his bedroom door closed hard enough to rattle the letters. I ate at the table. The eggs tasted faintly of soap. At 8:15, I put on my jacket and walked to a diner near the church. Leonard was waiting in a booth with a plate of bacon and a sweating glass of iced tea. He was 68, broad in the shoulders, and wore his white hair pulled into a short ponytail. He had spent 31 years installing commercial flooring, which meant every building prompted an opinion about glue. This floor is lifting, he said before I sat down. Nice to see you, too. He pushed a bowl of peppermints toward me. You look terrible. My son moved into my bedroom. Leonard unwrapped a peppermint. Is that a metaphor? He put his name on the door. Oh, that's all you have? I'm thinking. A waitress came over. Her name tag said Sherry, and she called Leonard honey while refilling his tea. I ordered coffee. Leonard waited until she walked away. Whose house? Mine. Did you tell him to leave? No. Did you ask why he did it? He says the room needed to be reset. Leonard nodded as if this were a reasonable arrangement between adults. You think I should let it go? I think I don't know your son. I know you. That sounds threatening. How many times have you apologized? For what? There you go. I leaned back against the vinyl seat. I checked myself in. You did. I stayed. You did that too. I'm not asking for a parade. Good. Sherry charges extra for parades. She returned with my coffee and gave Leonard a look that suggested he had used that line before. He waited until she left again. You're doing what we do, he said. You're building a case. Guest room, name on door, bad mug, whatever else you've collected. You forgot the bedtime. There's a bedtime? 10:30. He laughed so abruptly that tea went down the wrong pipe. He coughed into his napkin while I watched. I'm glad my oppression brings you joy. I'm sorry. He wiped his eyes. I just pictured somebody trying to put you to bed. My son, apparently. All right, that's insulting. Thank you. It can be insulting and still not be the reason you drink. I didn't say it was. You called me at 7:45 in the morning. I wanted breakfast. You hate this diner. He was right. Their coffee tasted burned even when it was fresh. I looked out the window. Across the street, a man in coveralls was washing the windows of a closed insurance office. He worked the squeegee in steady overlapping lines. I don't know what I'm allowed to be angry about, I said. Leonard moved the peppermints aside. That's a better question. Evelyn said anger wasn't dangerous if I stopped using it to make decisions. What did she say about letting other people make them? I may have been pretending to cough during that session. He smiled. Go home, don't drink. Don't start a war before lunch. That your official guidance? My official guidance costs $80 an hour. You lay flooring. Not anymore. When I returned, Mara's car was parked at the curb. She was in the kitchen unloading groceries while Cole stood at the counter with his laptop open. Mara was 34 with Diane's dark hair and my habit of looking at exits when conversations became personal. She turned when I came in and held up a bag of oranges. Vitamin C. You always did know what a man wanted. She hugged me carefully, one arm around my shoulders, the oranges trapped between us. Her cheek was cold from outside. You smell like diner coffee, she said. Leonard ordered it for me. He's the ponytail. He has other qualities. Cole kept typing. Mara arranged yogurt, bread, and vegetables on the counter. She had bought the brands I liked, but presented them as general household supplies. I'm sorry about yesterday, I said. She stopped with a carton of milk in her hand. For what? The gunpowder comment. Oh, it was designed to make you feel guilty. Cole's typing stopped. Mara glanced at him, then back at me. I didn't think it was. I'm sorry. All right. She put the milk in the refrigerator. The schedule fluttered when she opened the door. You don't have to apologize for everything, she said. I'm trying to begin with the things I actually did. The kitchen went quiet. Cole closed his laptop. How was the meeting? Full of drunks. You know what I mean. It was fine. Mara took a bunch of bananas out of the bag. You sleeping okay? The guest mattress is enthusiastic. She smiled despite herself. I told Cole we should replace it. You knew I was moving into the guest room? Her smile disappeared. We talked about it. When? Before you came home. With me? Dad, I'm asking. She set the bananas down. We thought it might be easier. For who? Cole stood. This is exactly why we didn't involve you in every detail. You turn a practical decision into a referendum on whether we love you. I looked at Mara. Did you know he put his name on the door? Her eyebrows drew together. What? Cole reached for his laptop. It's just a label. Mara looked toward the stairs, then at him. You labeled the bedroom? I labeled my workspace. You sleep there, I said. You put Cole on Dad's door? She asked. The disbelief in her voice was small, but it changed the room. Cole tucked the laptop under his arm. I'm not having this conversation like I did something insane. No one said insane, I said. Stop helping. He went upstairs. Mara stared after him. Then she looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. It wasn't agreement. It wasn't accusation either. You shouldn't make fun of the schedule, she said quietly. He spent hours on it. I'm sure he did. He's scared. So am I. She folded the empty grocery bag until it was a thin brown strip. You don't usually say that. I know. After she left, I took the schedule off the refrigerator. I carried it upstairs and slid it beneath Cole's closed door. Then I lifted the first clear storage tub from the hallway, carried it into the guest room, and unpacked every piece of clothing inside. When the tub was empty, I placed it outside the bedroom beneath my son's name. The bedroom door opened a few inches, bumped the empty tub, and stopped. Cole pushed again. Plastic scraped across the floor. What is this? An empty tub. I can see that. I wasn't sure. You labeled the door, but not the tub. He looked down the hallway toward the guest room, where I was hanging the last of my shirts in the overpacked closet. Are you trying to block me in? No. Then why is it outside my door? Because the things that were inside it used to be inside that room. Cole shoved the tub aside with his foot. This is unbelievably passive-aggressive. He was right. Leonard would have been disappointed that I had started a war before lunch, even if the first shot was transparent plastic. Yes, I said. Cole had prepared for denial, not agreement. Yes, what? It was passive-aggressive, so move it. I took a shirt off a hanger, shifted 2 jackets, and put it back. Dad, I heard you. Then move it. I turned toward him. I don't want to sleep in this room while you sleep in mine. You agreed yesterday. I sat down yesterday. That's not the same thing. You didn't object. I was trying not to have a fight in the first 5 minutes. So, you waited until today and started leaving obstacles outside the door? I already said the tub was childish. I'm telling you directly now. I want my bedroom back. His face settled into the expression he used whenever he believed he was the only adult available. You're not ready, according to who? Everybody. You, Mara, and an email from the internet? Mom knows too. Your mother knew about the guest room. Did she know you put your name on the door? This isn't about the name. It's 4 feet from your face, Cole. He picked up the empty tub and carried it toward the stairs. For one hopeful second, I thought he was taking it to the garage. Instead, he put it back beside the other 3 full ones. We can talk about the room after you've been home a few weeks. What happens in a few weeks, we see how you're doing. And if I'm doing well, we reassess, meaning you decide again. Meaning we have a conversation when you're not fresh out of rehab and reacting to everything. I'm reacting to my son's name on my bedroom door. You keep saying that like it's a national emergency. No. I keep saying it because you won't. He walked into the bedroom and shut the door. I removed one of the remaining tubs from the line and carried it into the guest room. My arms shook by the time I lowered it. It was heavier than I expected, full of books and the old brass clock from my nightstand. I sat on the bed until my breathing slowed. At the center, we had spent one whole afternoon listing things we resented. Evelyn made us write them on a dry erase board without assigning blame. By the end, the board looked like the wall of a detective who had lost professional perspective. Someone asked what we were supposed to do with all that resentment. Evelyn said, "Decide which part belongs to you." At the time, I thought that was an evasive answer. Sitting among my boxed belongings, I began to understand why she had not offered anything easier. The doorbell rang downstairs. Cole stayed behind his door. I went down and found Diane on the porch, holding a canvas grocery bag in one hand and my discharge folder in the other. "You left this in my car," she said. I looked at the folder. It was identical to the one in my duffel, except for the label across the top. Family Resources. That might have been deliberate. I considered burning it for you. You always were romantic. She handed it over. Diane was 61 and wore her silver-streaked hair cut to her chin. During our marriage, people often mistook her quietness for softness. They usually corrected themselves. She had driven me home from the center because Cole claimed he had a work call, and Mara said she would cry too much. Diane had spent most of the ride commenting on traffic, which was her way of allowing me dignity without pretending we were comfortable. She lifted the grocery bag. I brought things for dinner. Mara already stocked the kitchen. She bought yogurt. Yogurt is not dinner. You want to come in? I'm here, aren't I? It was one of Cole's answers. I stepped aside. She took off her coat, walked through the living room, and stopped. Where's the red chair? Apparently it was a gateway recliner. She gave me a look. Garage? Why? I don't know. Maybe it knew too much. Martin. Cole changed the room. I can see that. She went into the kitchen and began unloading the bag. Chicken thighs, mushrooms, onions, a carton of stock, and a small bottle of cooking wine appeared on the counter. Cole came downstairs while she was holding the bottle. What is that? Diane turned it so he could see the label. Marsala. You brought alcohol? I brought cooking wine. Into this house? I've been making this chicken since before you were born. That doesn't answer the question. Diane set the bottle down. It has so much salt in it you'd have to be desperate and part goat. Mom, it cooks off. Not all of it does. I leaned against the counter. It's fine. Cole looked at me. You don't get to decide that by yourself. Diane's head turned slowly. Whose decision is it? His care team was clear about environmental triggers. Did his care team name chicken? Don't make fun of this. I'm not. You are. He picked up the bottle, twisted off the cap, and emptied it into the sink. The sweet, sharp smell rose immediately. My body noticed before my mind did. The kitchen narrowed. The running faucet sounded farther away than it was. I could taste whiskey, not the wine, not anything actually in my mouth, but the remembered heat of the first swallow, the promise inside it. 5 minutes during which nobody needed anything from me because I had left the room without moving. I gripped the edge of the counter. Diane saw. Cole was rinsing the bottle. His back was turned. I counted backward from 10. At 7, I lost track. I started again. The smell faded under the water. You all right? Diane asked. Cole turned. I'm fine. He studied my hands. I shouldn't have opened it. You poured it out. I opened it first. I said, I'm fine. Diane took the empty bottle from him and put it back in the grocery bag. We'll make something else. I can go get alcohol-free wine, Cole said. We don't need wine, I told him. I meant for the recipe. I know what you meant. He stood at the sink, damp bottle cap in his palm, looking less like my jailer than my frightened son. That made it harder. I have a call, he said. He carried his laptop into the living room and closed the folding doors behind him. Diane waited until we heard his voice settle into its professional register. Were you fine? She asked. No. Are you now? Yes. Those are different answers. I know. She put the onions on a cutting board. You want to call somebody? I met Leonard this morning. The ponytail. He's becoming famous. Call him if you need to. I don't need to. She handed me a knife, then slice. We worked side by side. Diane knew I hated being watched when I was shaken, so she focused on the mushrooms. She cut them into exact thin pieces. I chopped the onions too large. After a while, she said, Cole told me about the room. He told me you approved. I said the guest room might be a good idea for a few nights. He heard forever. Cole hears responsibility the way you hear criticism, too clearly and everywhere. I slid the onions into a bowl. He put his name on the door. I saw. You went upstairs. I used the bathroom. And it's strange. Strange. What word do you want? Pick one? No. I laughed once without humor. Of course not. Diane put down her knife. This is what you do. You hand me the anger and then resent the way I carry it. I'm not asking you to fight with him. You want me to confirm that you're the injured party. I am the injured party. In this particular room, maybe. That's a remarkable sentence. It's an accurate one. She wiped her hands on a towel. What Cole is doing is controlling and ugly. You still don't get to use that to skip over why he believes control is necessary. I'm not skipping. You're making jokes. I made jokes when your father died. Yes. And I wanted to kill you. I was trying to help. You were trying to escape the discomfort of watching me hurt. There was no safe response to that, especially because it was true. Diane went back to the mushrooms. Your children are scared, she said. Scared people make bad house rules. Then why does everybody act like I'm the only one who needs to change? They don't. You're just the one who almost died in the garage. The knife in my hand felt heavy. Behind the folding doors, Cole laughed at something someone said on his call. It was a relaxed, easy sound I had not heard from him since coming home. Diane glanced toward the living room. Is everything all right with him and Dana? He says they're having work done on the house. What kind of work? He didn't say. She made a quiet sound. What? Nothing? That sound was not nothing. It was the sound of me deciding not to get involved. You've improved. Divorce helped. We managed the chicken without wine. Cole emerged after his call and set the table. He placed me at the far side again, then noticed me watching and moved my plate to my usual chair without comment. During dinner, Diane told us about a woman in her building who kept stealing everyone's newspapers and returning only the coupons. Cole explained a problem with a software update. I listened to them both and tried not to turn the meal into a hearing about my bedroom. Then Diane asked, Why is your name on the door, Cole? His fork stopped halfway to his mouth. It marks the workspace. Do the monitors forget? Mom? I'm curious. He set the fork down. Dad's been complaining to you. I have eyes. It's temporary. How temporary? We haven't set a date. I looked at my plate. Diane waited, but Cole offered nothing else. Dana coming by this weekend? She asked. She's busy. With work? Yes. What repairs are you having done? Cole's chair scraped against the floor. Why is everybody suddenly investigating my marriage? No one said marriage, Diane replied. He looked at me. I raised both hands. I've been eating chicken. Cole stood, carried his plate to the sink, and left the kitchen. A moment later, his bedroom door shut upstairs. Diane chewed slowly. That, she said, was not about home repairs. After dinner, she helped me wash the dishes and left, without going upstairs again. I took the family resource folder to the guest room and placed it beneath the gray stone in the drawer. On my way back downstairs, I passed the bedroom. The adhesive letters caught the hallway light. The C had begun peeling away from the door at the upper corner. I pressed it flat with my thumb. I told myself I did it because crooked lettering bothered me. Then I went to the garage to find my chair. The garage light flickered twice before settling on a yellow hum. My bed stood on its side against the far wall, wrapped in a plastic painting sheet. The frame had been taken apart and stacked behind it. My dresser was turned backward beside the lawnmower. its drawers secured with blue tape. Cole had balanced 2 boxes on top marked bathroom and dad, personal, which made me wonder what qualified as impersonal bathroom property. The red recliner was near the garage door. 3 black trash bags sat on the seat, and 2 more were piled against the footrest. I opened the nearest bag. Empty bottles clinked together. There were more than I remembered. Whiskey, bourbon, vodka, a squat green gin bottle I had bought because someone told me clear liquor was less obvious on the breath. Small bottles from hotels I had never visited. Cole had pulled them from every place I had considered clever. I tied the bag closed. The chair itself looked older beneath the garage light. The leather had split along one arm, exposing yellow foam. There was a dark stain near the cup holder. I put my hand on the back and smelled something stale and sweet. "What are you doing?" Cole stood at the door from the kitchen. Finding my chair. "You shouldn't be out here. The garage wasn't on the schedule. I mean, around those." He pointed to the bags. "They're empty. That's not the point." "What is the point?" "They could trigger you. Everything could trigger me. Dinner nearly did." "Exactly." That was an agreement. He came down the 2 steps into the garage and took the bag off the seat. "I was going to take these to recycling." "When?" "I've been busy, so I noticed." He placed the bag with the others. "You can't bring that chair inside." "Why?" "Because you drank in it every night. I drank in the kitchen." "Should we remove the stove?" "You passed out in this chair. I passed out in a lot of places. That's supposed to reassure me?" "No, it's supposed to make the chair less powerful." I pulled the lever on the side. The footrest kicked up and struck one of the bags. Glass clattered. Cole flinched. I got down on one knee and reached into the side pocket. My fingers found 2 pens, a remote with corroded batteries, and a folded receipt from a liquor store. The date was 3 days before the garage. I looked at the total, then folded it again. Cole held out his hand. "What?" "Give it to me." "It's a receipt." "I can see that." "You want to dispose of dangerous paper?" "I want you to stop staring at it." I put the receipt in his hand. He tore it into 4 pieces and dropped them into the open recycling bin. The red mug lay near the bottom under flattened cardboard. A crack ran from the rim almost to the base. Cole had been right about that. I picked it up. "I told you I threw it out," he said. "Recycling isn't out. I didn't know if ceramic went in. It doesn't." Then put it in the trash. I ran my thumb near the crack. For years I had liked that mug because it was mine. Not because it held coffee better or felt good in my hand. I liked reaching for the same red object every morning and finding it where I had left it. That seemed like a small pleasure until someone else decided it was garbage. Cole watched me. I dropped the mug into the trash can. It broke cleanly in 2 when it hit the bottom. "There," I said. He looked surprised. "What?" "You wanted me to throw it away." "I know." "Would you rather I fish it out so we can argue?" "No." We stood amid the furniture, bottles, and lawn equipment, neither of us knowing what to do with a victory that small. Finally, I lowered the recliner's footrest. "I'm taking the chair inside. It smells. I'll clean it." "It's not good for you." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do. You know what I did in it. You don't know what I'm going to do in it." Cole looked away. The recliner was too wide to fit comfortably through the kitchen door. I gripped the front while Cole took the back. We tilted it, struck the frame, backed up, argued about angle, tried again, and nearly dropped it on his foot. "Your side," he said through his teeth. "Lift your side." "My side is the heavy side. They're both the same chair. Then switch." We did. Mine was still the heavy side. By the time we got it into the living room, we were sweating. The great replacement chair had to be moved toward the window. Cole wanted the recliner where it wouldn't face the television. I wanted it where it had always been. We compromised by putting it 6 inches to the left, which satisfied neither of us. I sat down. The seat sank beneath me with a familiar groan. For a moment, my right hand moved toward the cup holder without instruction. Cole saw. I rested my hand on my knee. "Maybe we should have left it outside," I said. He studied me carefully, waiting for the joke. "Do you want to?" "No." "Okay." That was the first decision he had accepted since I came home. He went upstairs. I found leather cleaner under the kitchen sink and scrubbed the chair until the cloth turned brown. The stain near the cup holder faded but did not disappear. I kept working long after it was obvious the rest would remain. By 9 the following morning, the house had settled into two competing routines. Cole conducted work calls behind the folding doors in the living room until I sat in the recliner, then moved upstairs beneath his name. I made coffee before his scheduled breakfast and took my walk after his scheduled walk. We spoke politely enough to sound alarming. I was washing my white mug when someone knocked. Dana stood on the porch with a grocery bag against one hip and a cardboard tray holding 2 coffees. She wore a camel-colored coat, black slacks, and the expression of a person who had revised what she planned to say during the drive. She was 36, tall, with light brown hair she usually tied at the nape of her neck. That morning, it was loose and windblown. I had always liked Dana because she allowed silence without rushing to fill it. Cole said she could make a hotel clerk confess to things she had never asked. "Hi," she said. "Hi." Her eyes moved over my face. "You look good. That seems to be the official greeting. You look less gray. Better." She handed me one of the coffees. Regular, 1 sugar. I took it. "Don't tell management." Her smile came late but real. "I brought groceries. We're approaching grocery store capacity. I can take them back." "No, come in." She hesitated on the threshold. "Is Cole here?" "Upstairs. I thought he worked in the living room." He diversified. Dana stepped inside. She saw the red recliner and stopped. "That's back." "You knew it was gone?" Cole sent pictures. Of the chair, of the house. She removed her coat but kept it draped over her arm. The grocery bag held coffee, bread from a bakery I liked, sliced turkey, apples, and a jar of mustard, whose price I knew Dana considered offensive. She began placing everything on the counter. "I wasn't sure what you could eat. I went to rehab, not dental surgery." "I know. That sounded stupid. I can eat anything. Apparently I'm not supposed to enjoy caffeine." She looked at my coffee. "I won't testify." Footsteps sounded overhead. Cole entered the kitchen, saw Dana, and stopped so quickly his hand remained on the doorframe. "What are you doing here?" Dana folded the empty grocery bag. "Good morning to you too." "You didn't call." I texted. "I was working." "I know." Cole looked at me. "I didn't call her." Dana's eyes narrowed. "No one accused him. I'm just saying. I came to see Martin. You said you needed space. From you, Cole. I didn't file a restraining order against your father." The joke had no warmth. Cole put his coffee on the counter without drinking. "You should have told me." "I did. I mean, before you drove over. So, you could leave? So, I could be prepared." "For what?" He glanced at me again. I took my coffee and went into the living room. "I can give you privacy," I said. "This is your house," Dana replied. Cole's face tightened. I sat in the recliner. They remained in the kitchen, speaking in low voices that rose every few sentences. "You told me a few nights," Dana said. "It's been 2. You came here before he got home. To clean. You moved your office. I need to work. You have an office. Not right now." "Why? Did it become emotionally unsafe?" "Keep your voice down." That made her raise it. "I'm not the one who lied." I stared at the dark television screen. In its reflection, I could see them standing on opposite sides of the kitchen island. "I didn't lie," Cole said. "You said he needed you here." "He does. Did he ask you to stay?" The house went still. I could have kept looking at the television. I could have made him answer. Instead, I turned. "No," I said. Cole's gaze snapped toward me. Dana looked from him to me. "What did he ask you to do?" "Dana," Cole said. "He offered to clean the house," I answered. "That's all?" "Did you ask him to move into your bedroom?" "No." Cole walked into the living room. "This isn't helping." "I'm not trying to help," I said. "I'm answering." Dana followed him. Her eyes went toward the stairs. "Where is he sleeping?" "The primary bedroom," Cole said. There were bottles in it. It needed to be cleared. "Ann Martin?" "Guest room?" Dana's mouth opened slightly, then closed. She went upstairs without asking permission. Cole turned on me. "You're enjoying this?" "No." "Bullshit. I didn't invite her. But you couldn't wait to make me look like a liar. You asked me yesterday not to use softer words for it." He stepped closer. "You have no idea what's going on between us." "That's true." "Then stay out of it." "I was in the living room. You know what I mean?" Dana came back down. She had seen the letters. I knew because her expression had lost every trace of uncertainty. "You put your name on his door," she said. "It's a workspace label. You sleep there. It doesn't matter. It matters to me." "Why?" Because you told me you were sleeping in the guest room for a few nights while you got him settled. Cole looked toward the window. Dana lowered her voice. You didn't come here to take care of him. You came here because I asked you to leave, and you found a way to make that sound noble. She put on her coat. Cole did not stop her. At the door, she looked at me. I'm glad you're home, Martin. Thank you for the coffee. She nodded and left. Cole watched her car pull away. Then he turned toward me, with his hands shaking at his sides. You just had to tell the truth today, he said. I held his gaze. It was available. Cole laughed once, but there was nothing amused in it. Available. You asked me a question. You knew exactly what you were doing. I answered yes or no. You waited until she was standing here, already angry, and then you gave her the one answer that made me look worst. She asked if I invited you, and you could have said the arrangement was complicated. It wasn't complicated for me. I didn't invite you. He paced toward the kitchen, then back. Call her. What? Call Dana. Tell her you didn't understand the question. Tell her we discussed me staying here before you went away. We didn't. We talked about me checking on the house. That is not the same thing. Tell her you asked me to help. I did, and that you expected me to stay. I didn't. His face twisted. You lied every day for years, but this is where your integrity suddenly kicks in. I felt that in my chest. Yes, I said. He stopped pacing. Yes? Yes. It has to kick in somewhere. Convenient. No. It's extremely inconvenient. Not for you. You get to sit there drinking the coffee she brought you while my marriage blows up. Your marriage was already blowing up. And how would you know? You came here alone and put your name on a door. That doesn't mean you know anything. It means something. He stood over me. My first instinct was to get up so he could not look down at me. My second was to stay seated so he would feel like the bully. Both were calculations. I hated that I could see them now. I set the coffee on the table. Why did Dana ask you to leave? That's none of your business. Then stop making me the reason. You are one of the reasons. For your marriage, for why I'm here. I didn't ask you to be. No, you never ask. You fall apart quietly enough that everybody else has to notice. The room seemed to tilt toward him. Cole pointed at the recliner. You sat right there every night pretending you were watching television. I'd call and you'd say you were tired. Mara would call and you'd tell her you had a headache. Mom would ask whether you'd been drinking and you'd get offended that she could think such a thing. Nobody got to say what was happening because you made us prove it first. I know, you don't know. I do. You know the sentence. You learned it in rehab. I looked toward the kitchen. Dana had left the grocery bag folded on the counter. The jar of expensive mustard sat beside the bread. What do you want me to say? I want you to call my wife. And lie. Stop saying it like that. What should I call it? Context. I almost smiled. It would have been cruel, and Cole would have deserved some of it, which made resisting harder. Did you tell Dana you were sleeping in the guest room? He looked away. Did you? I thought I would be. Until you saw my room. Until I found bottles in it. You found bottles everywhere. That room was the worst. So you claimed it, I cleaned it, you moved in. Because the guest room is too small to work in. The living room isn't. You're in the living room now. I wasn't here when you moved the desk. I knew you'd want your chair back. You threw away my mug and expected me to surrender the chair. This is why nobody can talk to you. We're talking right now. No, you're scoring points. That was true too. I picked up the coffee again, though I no longer wanted it. Cole stood by the window with his back to me. The garage happened the day after Dana asked me to leave, he said. I waited. We'd had a fight. She said I was controlling. She said I made every decision sound like an emergency, so she'd be afraid to disagree. That sounds familiar. He turned so sharply I wished I had swallowed the words. You don't get to do that. You're right. No, you don't get to make one sad little face and agree. You taught me how to do this. You made me the person who checked doors and counted drinks and called restaurants to see if you'd actually been there. Then Dana gets angry because I need to know where things stand and you sit there acting like we're the same. I said it sounded familiar. You meant it sounded like me. I meant it sounded like us. He stared at me. For a moment, the anger left his face, and what remained looked close to fear. Then his phone buzzed. He read the screen, grabbed his keys from the hook, and walked out the front door. A minute later, I heard his car start. I remained in the chair until the coffee went cold. The house was quiet, but my body had not received the news. My hands felt too light. There was pressure beneath my ribs, a restless climbing sensation I had spent years calling irritation. In treatment, I learned that it arrived before the conscious thought of drinking. I went to the kitchen. The cabinet above the refrigerator had once held a bottle of bourbon behind a stack of paper plates. Empty. Beneath the sink, behind the dishwasher tablets, there had been vodka in a reusable water bottle. Gone. I checked the pantry without deciding to check it. Flour, canned tomatoes, cereal, vinegar. Nothing. I stood with both hands on the counter. The absence frightened me more than finding something would have. I called Leonard. He answered on the fourth ring. "Tell me you're not at the diner." "I'm not at the diner." "Good. That floor's a tragedy." "I want a drink." He stopped joking. "Do you have one?" "No." "Can you get one?" "Yes." "Are you going to?" "I called you." That wasn't my question. I closed my eyes. "No." "Where are you?" "Kitchen. Alone?" "Yes." "What happened?" "My son asked me to lie to his wife. I refused." Then he explained that I made him controlling. That an exact quote? Close enough. "What part are you angry about?" "All of it." "Try again." I gripped the counter. "I'm angry that he used me as an excuse. I'm angry he's living in my bedroom. I'm angry that some of what he said is true. There it is. I hate when you do that. I barely did anything. I hate that more." He told me to leave the kitchen, put on shoes, and walk to the church. There was a noon meeting. I said I had already gone to one the night before. "Then you'll be the most educated drunk in the basement," he said. I walked. When I returned 2 hours later, Mara was sitting in the red recliner. She stood the instant I entered. "You're impossible to reach." My phone was off during the meeting. Cole called me. I assumed he would. "What happened with Dana?" "You should ask Cole." "He told me." "Then why are you asking?" "Because he's furious and Dana won't answer him." I took off my jacket. Mara followed me into the kitchen. "Did you tell her he lied?" She asked whether I invited him to stay. I said no. "Why couldn't you stay out of it?" "I was sitting in that chair when they brought me into it." "You know what I mean. Everybody keeps saying that." She folded her arms. She and Cole did it exactly the same way, right hand tucked under the left elbow. "He is trying to help you." "Did he tell you Dana asked him to leave before the garage?" Her eyes flickered. "Why does that matter? Did you know?" "They were having problems." "That isn't an answer." "Dad, their marriage is not your business. Then my recovery shouldn't be their cover story. Maybe both things are true. Maybe Dana asked him to leave, and he also thought you needed help. I believe both are true. Then why are you making him the villain?" "I'm not. You got Mom involved. You got Dana involved. Your mother came with chicken. Dana came with mustard. This is not funny." "No." Mara looked tired suddenly. She lowered herself into a kitchen chair. "Cole found you," she said. "Do you understand what that did to him?" I sat across from her. "Yes." "He called me from the driveway. He couldn't get the truck door open. He thought you were dead." "I know. He kept saying your name." "I know." "No, you were unconscious." "I know because he told me at the hospital. You were still drunk." I looked at the tabletop. There was a shallow scratch near my wrist, shaped like a question mark. "I remember his face," I said. Mara was quiet. "I remember yours too." She turned away. "You told me I was overreacting." "I did. You said the garage door was open, halfway. You kept repeating that. I was scared. So were we." "I know. Stop saying that." "What should I say?" "I don't know." "Something that wasn't printed in your folder." I let the silence stay. Mara wiped beneath one eye with the heel of her hand, angry at the tear before it had fully arrived. Finally I said, "I was ashamed, and I used the position of the garage door to make what I did sound less dangerous. You and Cole had to defend your fear while I defended myself." "I'm sorry." She looked at me. "That sounded practiced." It was. At rehab? In the mirror. Her mouth moved, almost a smile, then stopped. She stood. "I don't think Cole should have put his name on your door." It was the first time she had said it clearly. "But I also don't think you should use Dana to win your room back." "I won't. Did you?" "No." Mara picked up her purse. "Give him a chance to calm down." "I can do that. And don't call Dana." I wasn't planning to. At the front door, she hugged me without groceries between us. It lasted only a second. After she left, I went upstairs. The bedroom door was open. Cole's laptop was gone. So was the narrow mattress. The monitors remained on the desk, black and blank. His name still crossed the door above me, but the room itself looked temporarily abandoned. I stood at the threshold. My dresser had left pale marks on the carpet. A lamp I didn't recognize sat on the floor beside the wall. The room smelled like Cole's soap and the lemon cleaner he had used to erase mine. I could have walked in. I could have taken the letters down, called someone to help retrieve my bed, and made the decision he kept delaying. Instead, I closed the door. It wasn't restraint, not entirely. Part of me wanted him to come back and see that I had obeyed a boundary he had never had the right to draw. Cole came back at 10:40 that night, carrying a paper takeout bag and the expression of a man who had spent several hours receiving advice he disliked. He stopped at the foot of the stairs. "Did you go in the room?" "No." "The door was open when I left. I closed it." "Why?" "Because it was open." He waited for more. I was sitting in the recliner with the television on mute. A man in a blue suit was pointing at a map covered in red arrows. Whatever crisis he was explaining looked easier than ours. "Where's the mattress?" I asked. "In my car." "You driving around with a mattress now?" "It rolls up." "Of course it does." Cole set the takeout on the dining table. I was going to stay at Mara's. What changed? I didn't want to involve her. I looked at him. He heard it as soon as it came out. "More than she already is," he said. "Did you see Dana?" "No." "Talk to her?" "No." "Did she answer?" "Are you enjoying the role reversal?" I turned the volume up. The man in the blue suit had moved on to Rain. Cole carried the bag into the kitchen. Cabinets opened and closed. A microwave button beeped 6 times because he always entered the exact number of seconds instead of pressing the convenient minute button. I had teased him about that for years. 60 seconds was careless. 58 demonstrated intent. He returned with noodles in a white carton. "Mara's coming Sunday," he said. "For what?" "We need to talk. We've been doing quite a bit of that, with her and Mom." "Does your mother know?" I texted her. "And does she know why?" "We need a family plan." "No." His fork stopped. "No what? No family plan. You haven't even heard it. I've seen your individual work. This isn't a joke." "I know. You agreed at discharge that family support matters. I agreed to accept support. I didn't agree to become a group project." Cole set the carton on the side table. "You're going to meetings when you feel like it, ignoring the routine, bringing old furniture back into the house. I attended 2 meetings in 3 days. You came home wanting a drink." I stared at him. He knew from my face. "You told Mara," I said. "She told me. I told her I'd gone to a meeting. She figured out why." "No." She asked, and I answered. "You wanted us to trust you. That means being honest when you're struggling." I was honest. After she asked, "What's the correct waiting period? Do I send a press release while I'm craving or afterward? You make everything impossible, and you make everything evidence." He leaned forward. "You wanted a drink the same day you got your chair back. I wanted a drink after we fought. So, conflict is a trigger. Life is a trigger, Cole. That's exactly why we need a plan." I lowered the television. "What do you want the plan to do?" "Keep you safe." "For how long?" "As long as it takes." "And how do I prove I'm safe?" "You stay sober. Every day?" "Yes." "Then we'll know on the day I die." "That is not what I mean. It's what you built. A test nobody passes until it's over." Cole picked up the carton and stood. "Sunday at 4. If you've already invited everybody, why are you telling me? Because it's your house." The answer was so close to respectful that I laughed. He slept in the bedroom without the mattress. I heard him moving around after midnight. Then the office chair squeaked at intervals until almost 2. In the morning, the rolled mattress was back along the far wall. Neither of us mentioned it. I unpacked another tub after breakfast. It held books, photographs, the brass clock, 2 lamps, and a frame print Diane had hated for 20 years. A fishing boat sat on water so calm, it looked artificial. There was nowhere to put most of it in the guest room. I stacked the books along the baseboard and placed the clock on the narrow nightstand. It ticked louder than I remembered. The photographs were harder. Cole and Mara appeared in some, but only as adults. Graduations, apartment moves, bad Thanksgiving centerpieces. The afternoon Cole and Dana signed the papers for their house. In one picture, Cole stood beside me at a backyard grill. We had the same posture, one hand in a pocket, chin raised as if a photographer were an accusation. I carried that photograph downstairs and placed it on the mantel. Cole found it during lunch. "What's this?" "A picture." "I know. You ask a lot of questions with visible answers." He picked it up. "That was the summer you and Mom separated, was it?" You got drunk and burned the stakes. I remember the stakes. Of course you do. He returned the photograph to the mantel, but faced it down. I turned it upright after he went upstairs. By Sunday, the 3 empty tubs were lined beneath his name. The 4th still held winter clothes I had no room to hang. Cole moved the empty ones back to the garage. I brought them in. He moved them again. The second time, he left them at the bottom of the stairs. I stacked them there and stopped. Recovery, I was discovering, did not automatically improve a man's behavior. Sometimes it simply made him more energetic about it. At 4, Mara arrived with a legal pad. Diane came 10 minutes later, carrying nothing. Good, I said. One of you understood the assignment. Diane took off her coat. I told Cole I wasn't participating in an intervention. It's not an intervention, he said from the kitchen. What is it? Mara asked. A conversation. Why does she have a legal pad? I asked. Mara placed it face down on the table. I take notes when I'm anxious. Cole had arranged 4 chairs around the dining table. He sat closest to the kitchen. Mara chose the chair beside him. Diane sat across from her, leaving me at the head. I moved my chair to the side. Cole noticed. All right, he said. The point is to make sure we're all on the same page. We aren't, Diane replied. We can try. I don't want to be on a page, I said. Mara closed her eyes. Can we go 5 minutes? Yes, I said. Cole had printed another schedule. This one had no bedtime, but it included daily check-ins, 4 meetings a week, grocery arrangements, doctor appointments, and something called an accountability partner. Leonard, I said. What? My sponsor. Leonard. We don't know him. You don't need to. I'd like his number. No. Cole looked at Mara. She uncapped a pen. Why not? He asked. Because he is my sponsor, not my parole officer. No one said parole. Accountability partner sounds friendlier. Mara wrote something down. What did you write? I asked. She covered the page. Nothing. You're taking secret minutes? They're not secret. Then what did you write? Dad resists outside accountability. Diane made a small choking sound. Cole frowned at her. You said you weren't participating. I'm not. I inhaled wrong. Mara scratched out the line. The meeting continued. Cole wanted keys to my house in case he moved home. Mara already had one. He wanted family members notified if I missed a meeting. I asked who would notify them. You, he said. Then if I'm lying, we're back where we started. We'd know eventually. Exactly. Mara tapped the pen against the pad. What would make you feel supported? It was the first question anyone had asked that did not contain its preferred answer. I'd like people to ask me how I am before deciding, I said. Fine, Cole replied. How are you? Not like that. How should I ask? As if the answer isn't a test. He leaned back. You want trust you haven't earned. I want room to earn it. You have room. The silence arrived instantly. His eyes moved toward the stairs. Diane looked down at the table. Mara stopped tapping her pen. Cole, she said. What? He does. The guest room, I said. I didn't mean you did. You know what I meant. Unfortunately, yes. Cole pushed the papers aside. This is about your sobriety, not where you sleep. It stopped being only about my sobriety when you put your name on my door. Here we go. You have a home. You have a wife. You moved into my bedroom and told both of us it was for me. I found you in a running truck. And Dana asked you to leave the day before. His chair scraped backward. That is not relevant. It's relevant when you call this sacrifice. I am sacrificing. You're hiding. Mara put down her pen. Dad. No, Cole said. Let him. I should have stopped. I could feel the moment when truth turned from clarification into appetite, but I kept going. You get to be the capable son here. You get to tell Mara you're carrying everything, tell your mother you're protecting me, and tell Dana you can't come home because I'm unstable. Everybody worries about you, and nobody asks why your wife can't stand living with you. Cole's face emptied. Diane said my name quietly. Cole looked at her. Don't. He's finally being honest. He turned back to me. You want to know why Dana can't stand living with me? Because I check whether she did what she said she'd do. I ask where she's going. I remind her of appointments. You know why? Because I spent 10 years calling you and hearing you sound normal, then finding out you didn't remember the conversation. I learned that people can look right at you and lie. I learned love means checking. Love doesn't mean checking. It did in this family. Nobody moved. He stood and gathered the schedules. You don't want help. You want an audience for your comeback. He walked upstairs. The bedroom door slammed. One of the vinyl letters loosened and fell. The black C landed on the hallway carpet. Mara stared toward the stairs. Diane folded her hands on the table. I had won the ugliest point in the argument, and the victory felt exactly like wanting a drink. I need to leave, I said. Mara's head turned. Leave where? There's a recovery residence near the center. Leonard mentioned it. Cole opened the bedroom door above us. So, that's it, he called down. You run away and make us the reason? I looked up at him. No. I leave because right now, I don't know how to stay here without drinking. The fallen sea lay between us. For once, nobody tried to tell me what I meant. Cole came down holding the fallen letter between 2 fingers. You're serious? Yes. You've been home 4 days. I know. Mara pushed her legal pad away as if the paper had caused the argument. Diane remained very still. Cole placed the C on the table. You said you wanted your room back? I do. So, you're leaving. For now. That makes sense. His tone said the opposite. I went upstairs and took my duffel from beneath the guest bed. My shirts filled half of it. I added underwear, socks, the aftercare folder, and the Greystone from the drawer. The family resources folder stayed behind. If my family required resources, they could find their own bag. Diane appeared in the doorway. How long? I don't know. Do they have a bed? Leonard said they usually do. That is not confirmation. I'll call. She watched me fold a pair of jeans, unfold them, and fold them again. I can drive you. I'm asking Leonard. Why? Because he's my sponsor. I know who he is. And because if you drive me, I'll spend the whole trip wondering whether you think I failed. Diane leaned against the frame. I don't. You might. I might think you said something cruel to Cole. I did. I might think he said cruel things to you. He did. I might think leaving before one of you reaches for a bottle or a hammer is sensible. There are no hammers upstairs. You know what I mean. I zipped the bag. Thank you for the offer. She nodded but didn't move. You used to leave during arguments, she said. I remember. You would walk out, drive around, and come back after I was too tired to continue. Then you'd act like the passage of time had settled the issue. This isn't that. How do you know? Because this time I told you where I'm going. That's a low bar. It's the one I have. Her face softened slightly. Call when you get there. I will. She stepped aside, and I carried the duffel into the hallway. Cole waited near the bedroom door. The remaining letters spelled O-L-E, which sounded less like a name than something shouted at a bullfight. He looked at my bag. You're doing exactly what you always do. Your mother mentioned that. Good. Maybe listen to her. I am leaving because I wanted a drink badly enough that I searched the kitchen. Mara came to the bottom of the stairs. You searched for alcohol? There wasn't any. That's not the point, Cole said. I know what the point is. That's why I'm leaving. You could stay here and call Leonard. I did call him. You could let us help. This isn't helping. His eyes moved to the guest room, the tubs, then his name on my door. So, what happens to the house? Nothing. Who takes care of it? It survived before you moved in. Do you want me to leave? It was the question I had been waiting for since I came home. I could have said yes and watched him carry his rolled mattress down the stairs. The satisfaction rose quickly, almost physically. Instead, I said, I want you to stop saying you're here because I need you. That doesn't answer me. You can stay for a few days if you need somewhere to be, but it's for you, Cole, not me. His mouth hardened. You always find a way to make generosity humiliating. I'm trying to make it honest. No, you're taking the house away without making me leave. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. He pressed the C against the door. The adhesive failed and the letter fell again. He caught it before it reached the floor. I walked downstairs. Leonard arrived 20 minutes later in an old green pickup with a rust-colored hood. Mara had gone by then. Diane waited until I got into the truck before she left. Cole did not come outside. Leonard looked at the duffel between my feet. You pack sandwiches? 3 pairs of socks? Poor planning. He drove with both hands high on the wheel and an unwrapped peppermint tucked into his cheek. The recovery residence occupied a wide brick house behind a medical office. A wooden sign near the driveway said, Maple House, though there were no maple trees. 2 bare sycamores stood in the front yard, dropping strips of bark across the grass. You sure about this? Leonard asked. No. Good. Why is that good? Means you're not drunk on your own decision. A man named Russ answered the door. He was 53, 8 years sober, and wore a sweatshirt that said, "Ask me about my terrible ideas." He shook my hand and asked whether I had used alcohol or drugs that day. No. Any in your bag? Only unresolved childhood resentment. Russ looked at Leonard. He always like this? Gets worse when he's scared. Russ showed me the house. The living room had 2 couches covered in brown slipcovers, a shelf of recovery books, and a television with 3 remotes no one could explain. The kitchen was large and aggressively clean. A chore chart hung beside the refrigerator. I pointed at it. You brought me to another schedule. This one has your name on it, Leonard said. Not yet, Russ replied. He has to earn a marker. There were 7 men living there, all adults, all temporarily experts and not looking too curious about the new person. Russ introduced me to Gordon, who was fixing a lamp, and Ellis, who would be sharing my room. Ellis was 59, narrow as a fence rail, and had a gray mustache that seemed to belong to a different decade. I snore, he told me. So do I. I use a machine. I use denial. He points to the bed by the window. That one's yours. Closet space is left side. Bathroom hot water gives up after 7 minutes. The bedroom door had a small whiteboard attached at eye level. Ellis was written across the top in blue marker. Beneath it, Russ added Martin. I stared at my name. Russ capped the marker. Problem? No. Some guys don't like shared rooms. It's not the sharing. Leonard saw where my eyes had gone. Define space, he said. I gave him a look. He grinned around the peppermint. The house had a 10 o'clock weeknight curfew. When Russ told me, I laughed hard enough that Gordon looked up from the lamp. Something funny? Russ asked. My son tried to give me a 10:30 bedtime, so we're stricter. Apparently. You don't have to stay. That was the difference. He said it without threat. I carried my duffel upstairs. The first night, Ellis's machine made a soft breathing sound across the room. It was less irritating than his actual snoring, which began whenever the mask slipped. I lay awake watching headlights move across the ceiling. At home, Cole was sleeping beneath his name. In that room, my bed was by the window beneath mine. I expected to feel defeated. Instead, I felt tired enough to sleep. I woke at 6 to the smell of coffee. Nobody had labeled it decaf. Gordon was in the kitchen making oatmeal in a saucepan. He had worked as an accountant until alcohol made numbers less dependable. He asked if I wanted some. How bad is it? Like wet insulation. I'll have eggs. Smart. The chore chart assigned me to wipe the upstairs bathroom and take out recycling. I considered the poetry of carrying empty bottles away from a house that had none, but the bin contained mostly soda cans and a jar of pasta sauce. After breakfast, I sat on the front steps with my coffee and called Diane. I'm here, I said. I know, Leonard texted me. He has your number? He asked for it while you were packing. Conspiracy. How is it? There's a curfew. She laughed. I'm glad you're enjoying this. Did you sleep? Some. Are you coming home today? No. All right. She did not sound pleased or relieved. Just careful. Mara came that afternoon carrying a paper bag from the same bakery Dana liked. She sat with me at a small table near the front window, while Gordon watched a game show with the volume low. I brought muffins, she said. This family responds to crisis with carbohydrates. I didn't know what else to do. That's honest. She looked around the room. It's nicer than I expected. You expected bars? No. I don't know what I expected. Neither did I. She picked at the folded edge of the bag. Cole thinks you left to punish him. I know. Did you? Part of me liked the idea. Her eyes lifted. I'm not going to pretend every motive I have is clean. So, which motive wins? The one that keeps me sober. She nodded slowly. What you said about Dana not wanting to live with him was awful. Yes. You can't use their marriage to prove he's wrong about you. I know. She flinched. Sorry, I said. I keep saying that. You do. I said it because I wanted to hurt him. It was also partly true, which made it easier to use. Mara watched Gordon answer a game show question before the contestant did. Cole said Dana called him controlling. He told me. He checks her phone sometimes. I looked at her. She shook her head. Not reads it. He checks whether she answered messages. He asks why she was online and didn't respond. That's not good. No. Have you told him? He says I'm taking her side. There shouldn't be sides. There are always sides with us. I had no argument. My phone rang. Cole's name appeared. Mara stood. I'll get coffee, I answered. Cole did not say hello. How long are you staying there? I don't know. Dana says I'm using your house to avoid her. Are you? Silence. Then he said, I put the C back. I looked toward the whiteboard on the bedroom door upstairs. Did it stick? No. What did you use? Nothing yet. Try warming the adhesive. Another silence. When are you coming home? He asked. When I can walk through the door without needing you to be wrong so I can be sober. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't yet. He hung up. Mara returned with 2 coffees. I took mine upstairs when visiting hours ended. Ellis was sitting on his bed, fitting the mask onto his machine. When he saw me in the doorway, he got up and closed the door between us. Then he knocked from the inside. What are you doing? I asked. Seeing if you knock before you enter. That's insane. Maybe. Do you? I opened the door. No. You should. He returned to his bed. The next time I came back from the bathroom, the door was open. I knocked anyway. Ellis nodded as if I had passed an exam neither of us had agreed to take. See? He said. Civilization. You're wearing a breathing mask on your forehead. It's not bedtime yet. The house developed around me through repetition. Gordon burned oatmeal but made excellent coffee. Russ wiped the counters while talking, including counters that were already wet from being wiped. Ellis took 20-minute showers, despite warning me that the hot water lasted 7. Every evening, somebody misplaced one of the television remotes and accused the couch. Nobody asked whether I had completed my walk. If I missed a meeting, Russ asked why, listened to the answer, and sometimes told me the answer was nonsense. It felt surprisingly different from being monitored. He did not need me to fail, so his concern would be justified. My name stayed on the bedroom whiteboard. Ellis added a crooked border around his own. I considered adding one around mine, then decided dignity had limits. By my 4th morning, I had stopped waking up expecting the guest room clock. At home, it must have been ticking beside the narrow bed, with no one listening. Dana called while I was folding towels in the laundry room. I stared at her name until the phone nearly stopped ringing. Hello? Hi, Martin. Hi. Is this a bad time? I'm folding towels. I can call later. The towels have nowhere to be. She was quiet. I heard you left the house. News travels, Mara told me. Cole didn't? We haven't talked much. I folded a towel in thirds, realized the others were folded in halves, and redid it. What can I do for you? I asked. I wanted to see how you were. I'm sober. That wasn't exactly what I asked. You sound like my sponsor. Is that an insult? Usually. She breathed out something close to a laugh. I also wanted to apologize. For the mustard? For coming over and putting you in the middle. You didn't put me there. I asked you questions about Cole. You asked questions about my house. And your bedroom. That too. I shouldn't have made you answer in front of him. I could have declined. You didn't. No. A dryer rotated behind me. A metal zipper struck the drum at regular intervals. Dana said, Cole told me you were confused about the arrangement. Did he? He said you discussed it before treatment and didn't remember. I stopped folding. That's not true. I didn't think it was. He asked me to say we had. Another long silence. When? After you left. What did you say? No. The zipper went around again. Dana's voice changed. It became flatter, more controlled. He keeps telling me this is a misunderstanding. I'm not going to explain Cole to you. I'm not asking you to. You might be without intending to. I know my own husband, then you know more than I do. She sighed. I'm not trying to recruit you. That family is already full. Martin, I'm sorry. No, you're not. No. The honesty surprised both of us, Dana said. He thinks I asked him to leave over one argument. Did you? No. I asked him to leave because every disagreement became a problem he could solve if he kept talking long enough. If I wanted the window open, he explained the heating bill. If I wanted a quiet night, he explained why seeing friends was important. If I changed my mind, I was unreliable. If I didn't change it, I was rigid. I sat on top of the dryer. He calls that context. I know. I used to call it being reasonable. I know that too. That stung, but she had not said it cruelly. Cole told you about us? Diane did. Years ago. Not details. My ex-wife and my daughter-in-law have a book club. We've had coffee. Dangerous. She said you could make someone apologize for being upset with you. The dryer stopped. The sudden quiet left me exposed. She's right. You sound different. I have better vocabulary. I don't mean the vocabulary. I waited. Dana said, I don't want him to become the villain of your recovery. Neither do I. He loves you. I know. He's also using you. I know. Do you say anything else now? Not if I can help it. She laughed, then covered it with a cough. I'm not asking you to carry a message, she said. Good. But if he asks what we talked about, I'll tell him to ask you. Thank you. After we hung up, I finished the towels. One of them still faced the wrong direction in the stack. I left it that way. Cole arrived during visiting hours the following afternoon. I was in the kitchen cleaning the refrigerator shelves with Russ when the front door opened. Russ had decided an old jar of olives posed a moral challenge because nobody would admit owning it. Visitor, Gordon called. Cole stood in the living room, holding my winter coat over one arm. He had not shaved. His shirt was wrinkled at the collar, and there was a faint red mark near his hairline, as if he had fallen asleep against something with a seam. You didn't need to bring that, I said. Mara said this place was cold. Mara was here for 40 minutes. She said you were sitting near a draft. It's a window. Cole held out the coat. I took it. Russ came through carrying the olives. You his son? Yes. Want olives? No. Nobody does. He went back to the kitchen. Cole looked around. Gordon had control of the television. Ellis sat on the couch, repairing a strap on his breathing mask with electrical tape. 2 other residents were playing cards at the dining table. This is the recovery residence? Cole asked. No, we rented these men for atmosphere. Ellis lifted one hand. I cost extra. Cole did not smile. We went outside. The air was cold enough that I put on the coat, which seemed to justify his entire visit. He sat beside me on the front steps. You look tired, I said. Don't. All right? He rubbed his palms together. Dana called you. Yes, I knew it. How? She said she talked to you. That's usually how. What did you tell her? To ask you. That doesn't make sense. She told me why she asked you to leave. I said I wasn't going to explain you to her, so she got to give her side, and you said nothing. I didn't say nothing. What did you say? That I used to argue the same way. Cole looked at me. What way? Until the other person's preference sounded irrational. Dana changes the rules in the middle of conversations. Maybe. She says she wants one thing, then when I give it to her, she says the problem is how I did it. Maybe that's true. You don't believe me. I believe you experience it that way. He stood. Jesus, you even sound like them now? Like who? The counselors, Mom, Dana, everybody who gets to sit there and describe me. I looked up at him. Sit down. No, then stand. But listen. He turned toward the driveway, hands in his pockets. I made you responsible for finding out whether I was telling the truth, I said. I would sound sober on the phone, and you had to decide whether to believe me. If you believed me and I was drunk, you felt stupid. If you questioned me and I was sober, I made you feel cruel. Cole remained still. You learned that trusting someone's answer was dangerous. I taught you that. He turned back. You think that's why Dana and I are having problems? I think it's one reason you check. So, this is still about you. No. What you do with it is about you. His mouth opened, then closed. I'm sorry, I said. For what? For training you to doubt what people say and then mocking you for doubting them. For making you come to the house to check on me. For pretending your fear was an insult instead of evidence. He sat down again, leaving more space between us than before. You rehearsed that. Yes. Did Dana tell you to say it? No. Leonard, no. Mom, no. I pulled a peppermint from my coat pocket. Leonard had put several there without telling me. I had time, I said. Cole watched me unwrap it. You can tell Dana that. I'm not going to. Why not? Because it becomes another explanation you hand her. You should tell her what you learned and let her decide whether it matters. She doesn't want to talk to me. She'll decide that too. You make it sound simple. It isn't simple. It's just not mine. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. The front door opened behind us. Ellis came out wearing a thin sweater. Anybody got a lighter? He asked. No, I said. Good. Neither do I. He went back inside. Cole looked over his shoulder. What was that? I've stopped asking. The corner of his mouth lifted, then flattened. He stared at the sycamore bark scattered across the yard. Are you coming home? Yes. When? I want to stay through the end of the week. That's 6 more days. Correct. What happens then? I come home? To the guest room? No. His shoulders tightened. So, this whole apology was a setup. No. You say all that, and then you give me a deadline. I didn't give you one. You just said you're taking the bedroom. I said I'm going home. We need to discuss the room before then. What is there to discuss? You've decided. It was my room before you decided. There were bottles in the closet. There aren't now. You don't know that. You cleaned it. I could have missed something. If you did, we'll remove it. We? You and me. He looked at me. You expect me to search the room with you and then move out of it. I'm asking you to help me make it safe without claiming it. That's a nice sentence. I had time for that too. Cole stood. I'll think about it. It was not agreement, but it was the first response he had given that did not pretend the decision was his alone. Before he left, he glanced toward the house. What does your door say? Martin and Ellis. Define space? Apparently. Do you like it? No. He nodded as if I had confirmed something useful. At the edge of the driveway, he stopped. I put your brass clock in the guest room, he said. I found it. It was Dad's. He meant his grandfather. The clock had sat on my father's dresser until he died, then on mine until Cole packed it away. I know. I didn't want it in the garage. Thank you. Cole walked to his car. That night, after the meeting, I found a voicemail from Diane. Mara says you apologized to Cole, she said. I am not asking for one by voicemail. I'm telling you now because you have a history of choosing the easiest audience. I listened twice. Then I called her. She answered with, That was fast. I'm highly responsive to criticism. Martin, I want to apologize. Not tonight. Why? Because you're ready and I'm not. I sat on the edge of my bed. Ellis's machine waited on the nightstand between us, mask coiled like a sleeping animal. All right, I said. Diane was quiet. That's new, she said. I can call tomorrow. I said not tonight, not schedule me for tomorrow. All right. Another silence. You sound disappointed, she said. I am. You'll survive. I'm beginning to suspect that. After we hung up, I set the phone beside the gray stone. Ellis knocked on the open door before entering. He had a cup of tea in each hand. Which bed's mine? He asked. The one under your name. He looked at the whiteboard. Good system. He handed me one of the cups and sat down. For the first time since coming home, someone entered a room with my name on it and did not tell me where I belonged. Ellis drank half his tea before admitting he had used the last clean cup, and mine had been rinsed, not washed. I'm building your immune system, he said. You're building a motive. He slept with the mask in place all night. I slept until 6:30 and woke to Gordon knocking a spoon against a saucepan downstairs. Someone had taped a paper sign to the kitchen wall. 60 days, Martin. The number had been written in red marker. Beneath it, Ellis had drawn what appeared to be a cake or a burning warehouse. What is that? I asked. Celebration, he said. Russ handed me a bronze-colored chip during breakfast. There was no ceremony. He had found it in a desk drawer and wiped dust from it on his sweatshirt before sliding it across the table. You want to say anything? He asked. No. Excellent. Gordon raised his coffee. To continued reluctance. The others lifted mugs and spoons. I put the chip in my pocket. 60 days did not feel like a transformation. My back hurt from the mattress. I still wanted my own chair. I still knew which liquor store opened earliest on Sundays. The difference was that the knowledge had become information instead of instruction. Diane called after breakfast. I'm ready, she said. For what? You know, I thought you said I wasn't allowed to schedule you. You weren't. Where? The walking path near the river. What time? 11. That sounds suspiciously scheduled. She hung up. The path ran behind an office park and followed a narrow strip of water people generously called a river. Diane was sitting on a bench when I arrived, wearing sunglasses despite the gray sky. She had 2 coffees. Mine was regular. You're joining the rebellion, I said. 1 cup won't kill you. That's the family optimism I missed. She handed it over. We walked without talking. Diane maintained a pace slightly faster than comfortable, a habit from our marriage. I used to accuse her of trying to leave me behind. She used to say I could walk faster. After half a mile, she said, Go ahead. I had something prepared. Of course you did. I'm trying to decide whether that makes it false. It depends. On whether you're going to listen after you say it. We passed a man photographing ducks with a lens large enough to discover new species. I'm sorry I made you prove what was happening, I said. Diane kept walking. When you asked if I had been drinking, I treated the question as the offense. I made you list the signs. Then I argued with each one until you sounded petty and I sounded calm. You did. I'm sorry for making calmness into a weapon. Her face remained forward. I'm sorry I called you after the divorce when I had been drinking and told you I only wanted to talk. I knew you could hear it. I knew you'd stay on the phone because you were afraid I'd drive or fall. I made you keep taking care of me and then accused you of not letting go. Diane's mouth tightened. I hated those calls. I know. Don't say that. I hated that you had to take them. Better. We reached a wooden railing overlooking the water. A shopping cart had become lodged in reeds on the opposite bank. I'm sorry I put Cole between us, I said. He was an adult, but he was still our son. I called him when you wouldn't answer. I let him carry information between houses because it meant I didn't have to hear you say no directly. Diane took off her sunglasses. That one mattered. I thought it might. You should have started there. I had a structure, I know. We leaned against the railing. She asked, "What do you want me to do with this?" "Nothing." "You want forgiveness. I'd like it. That isn't nothing." "No." She watched the current move around the shopping cart. "I believe you're sorry," she said. "I don't know what that changes. It doesn't change what happened. Then what is it for? So I stop requiring you to carry the unspoken version." She looked at me. That was prepared. Yes, it was still good. I smiled. She did not smile back, but she touched my sleeve. "Cole is still at the house," she said. "I know. He called me yesterday." "About what?" "He wanted to know whether I thought you were ready to come home." "What did you say?" I told him readiness was between you and the people helping you. He loved that. He accused me of abandoning the family process. There is no family process. There is in Cole's head. It has subcommittees. We started walking again. He asked whether I thought the bedroom was a reasonable boundary, she said. And, I told him, a boundary defines what you will do. It does not assign someone else a smaller room. That sounds prepared. I had time. We reached the bench where we had started. Diane put her sunglasses back on. "Are you ready to go home?" "I'm ready to leave Maple House." That wasn't the question. "I don't know if I'm ready. I'm going anyway." She considered that. "Call Leonard before you need him." "Yes. And don't make Cole's apology a condition of your sobriety." "I know." She looked over the top of her glasses. I'm sorry. I understand the concept. Better." The final days at Maple House passed without revelation. I cleaned the upstairs bathroom, attended meetings, and lost $8 to Gordon in a card game he claimed not to understand. Ellis found a replacement strap for his mask and made me throw away the one held together with tape. "You can't keep a thing just because it still technically functions," he said. "I recently learned that about a mug. Was it a good mug?" "No." "Then you're ahead." I called Cole the evening before I planned to return. "I'll be home around noon," I said. "Tomorrow?" "Yes." "You said the end of the week." "It is Friday." "I thought you meant Sunday." "Why?" "The weekend's Sunday. People work Monday through Friday. Calendars start Sunday." We spent nearly a minute arguing about the architecture of a week. Finally, he said, "Fine, noon." "Are we checking the room?" "If you want, I do." "What exactly are we looking for?" "Anything you missed?" "I didn't miss anything." "Then it'll be quick." He was silent. "Cole?" I moved the desk. "Where?" "Living room." "Thank you. The monitors are still upstairs. I need help carrying them. I'll help." The bed frame's heavy. We managed the chair. We nearly broke my foot, but we didn't. Another silence. "Do you want lunch?" he asked. "Yes." "What?" "Anything." "You hate anything. I'm growing." He hung up before I could hear whether he laughed. Russ returned the marker with my name on it to a kitchen drawer. Ellis erased the whiteboard, but the blue pigment had left faint shadows. "You can still see it," I said. "Names do that. That sounds smarter than you usually sound. I heard it in a movie." Leonard picked me up at 11:30. My duffel went between my feet again. The gray stone was in the side pocket, and the 60-day chip sat in my coat. On the drive, Leonard kept the radio low. "What's the plan?" he asked. "Search the bedroom, put the bed back together, don't drink. In that order? I'm flexible. What if your son refuses? I don't know. What if he apologizes? I hadn't considered anything that unrealistic. Leonard shook his head. There's the old Martin. He never left. Don't let him drive. When we pulled up, Cole's car was in the driveway. Leonard left the engine running. You want me to come in? No. Want me to wait? No. Want me to call in an hour? Yes. He nodded. See? Growth. The front door was unlocked. The living room smelled like coffee and furniture polish. My red recliner sat 6 inches left of its old place. The gray chair had been moved back near the wall. Cole's desk stood where it had before I went to treatment, beneath the front window, but the 2 monitors were missing. Cole came from the kitchen. You're early, 11:58. He checked the wall clock. It was 2 minutes slow. Calendars, clocks, I said. We're learning a lot. He took my duffel. I almost objected, then let him carry it upstairs. The black letters were still on the bedroom door. The C had been attached with a square of blue painter's tape visible along one edge. I stopped. Cole followed my eyes. The adhesive was gone. I can see. It's temporary, so you've said. He put the duffel in the guest room. My bedroom looked less occupied than before. The mattress was rolled against the wall. The desk was gone, leaving 2 rectangular dents in the carpet. The monitors sat on the floor beside a box of cables. My dresser was still in the garage. The closet was empty except for hangers and the scent of lemon cleaner. Cole opened the closet door wider. I pulled everything out twice. We checked the top shelf, the corners, the heating vent, and the space beneath the window seat. He showed me where he had found bottles behind a stack of blankets. Another had been tucked into an old sleeping bag. 6 were inside a suitcase I had not used since Diane and I separated. Why 6? Cole asked. I probably bought them at once. That's not what I meant. I don't know. He knelt and ran his hand along the baseboard. I checked the closet again, though there was nothing left to check. In the boot, he said. You wrapped the bottle in a sock, I remember. You said you didn't. I remembered after. He sat back on his heels. Did you ever think about what happened when I found them? I tried not to think about you finding them. That's not an answer. No. I thought about whether you'd find them before I could move them. His face changed. I made myself continue. I was worried about being caught. I wasn't thinking about what catching me did to you. Cole looked down at the carpet. There's nothing here now, he said. No. He stood. We carried the monitors downstairs together. Then we went to the garage for the bed frame. The mattress was awkward but lighter than the recliner. We maneuvered it through the kitchen, up the stairs, and around the landing without arguing until Cole backed into the bedroom door. The taped C came loose and stuck to his shoulder. He peeled it off and held it. I rested the mattress against the wall. Are you going to put it back? I asked. Cole looked at the letter, then at the door. Do you want me to take all of them down? Yes. His hand closed around the C. I need a few more days. For what? To figure out where I'm going. You have a house. Dana said I can't come back until we talk. Then talk. She won't do it while I'm staying here. I waited. Cole looked into the room we had just emptied of everything except my bed. I know how that sounds, he said. Do you? He pressed the C against the door again. The tape held. I picked up my duffel and carried it into the guest room. One night, I said. Cole turned. Dad, one night, because the bed isn't assembled and we're both tired. Tomorrow, my duffel goes into my bedroom. Whatever happens with Dana, my room stops being the place you hide from it. He looked at the name on the door. Then he nodded. It was not the removal I wanted, but it was the first deadline neither of us pretended belonged to somebody else. We ate lunch in the kitchen because Cole's desk had reclaimed the dining table while he reconnected his monitors. He had made turkey sandwiches with Dana's mustard. He used too much on mine, either by accident or because resentment had entered the condiment stage. What time are we putting the bed together? I asked. After I finish this. How long? An hour. You said that about the room. He looked at me over his sandwich. I agreed. To tomorrow. Yes, I'm checking. I noticed. I ate another bite. The mustard cleared my sinuses. Cole's phone lit beside his plate. Dana's name appeared on the screen. He turned it face down. You should answer, I said. You should eat. I'm doing both of my things. What things? Eating and staying out of your marriage. Commenting on whether I answer my wife is not staying out. That's fair. He picked up the phone, read the message, and set it down again. What did she say? I asked. He looked at me. That was a test, I said. You passed. You're very pleased with yourself. I'm 60 days sober. I'm pleased with almost nothing. His eyes dropped to my coat hanging over the chair. 60? Yesterday. You didn't tell us. I told Leonard. That's not what I meant. I know. You could have called. I could have. He waited for an explanation. I did not have one that made either of us look good. Part of me had wanted my family to remember the date without being told. Another part had wanted to keep one thing away from their fear and management. Mostly the day had arrived quietly, and I had been relieved to let it. Congratulations, he said. Thank you. He took our plates to the sink. At 2, we went to the garage. The bed frame had looked simple when it was stacked against the wall. On the bedroom floor, it became 8 pieces of dark wood, 12 bolts, and a disagreement about which rail belonged on which side. This one has the bracket, Cole said. They both have brackets. This one has the inside bracket. They're both going inside the bed. He shut his eyes. Hand me the instructions. There aren't instructions. You kept instructions for the toaster. I didn't expect to disassemble the bed. You've moved 3 times, and remain married to the bed. Technically, the bed survived the marriage. I held one rail while he tightened a bolt. The wrench slipped and struck his knuckle. He swore. Blood sugar, I said. Don't! We got the frame upright, discovered the headboard was reversed, and took half of it apart again. Neither of us mentioned the black letters above the door. We passed under them carrying the mattress. The taped C brushed Cole's hair but stayed in place. By 4, the bed stood beneath the window. My dresser was back against the pale rectangle on the wall, though the blue tape had left sticky lines across the drawers. Cole brought the brass clock from the guest room and placed it on the nightstand. It's 3 minutes fast, he said. It's always been 3 minutes fast. Why? My father believed punctuality could be manufactured. You could set it correctly. Then it would be wrong. He stared at the clock. That makes no sense. I inherited it. I regretted the words as soon as I said them. Cole heard the second meaning. He picked up the roll of blue tape and carried it into the hallway. His mattress, duffel, and clothes had been moved into the guest room. He had packed his cables into 2 boxes beside the desk. The transfer looked orderly enough to hide its anger. I began unpacking the last tub of winter clothes. Cole stood in my doorway. Dana wants to meet tonight, he said. That sounds good. She said she'll come here. That sounds less good. She doesn't want to meet somewhere public. I can leave. No. She wants to talk to you too. I've talked to her. She wants all of us in the same room. I don't. You don't even know what she wants to say. I know what happens when 3 people discuss a marriage and one of them isn't married. She thinks I lied to both of you? You did. He came into the room. Can you stop saying that? Can you stop asking me to use another word? I came here to help you. You also came because she asked you to leave. Both can be true. They are. Then why do you keep making it sound like I invented your rehab? I don't. You told her I didn't need to be here. I said I didn't ask you to stay. She hears that as me using you. You were. His face colored. I cleaned this entire house. I found every bottle. I moved furniture. I talked to Evelyn. I made food. I brought you home to a place where you couldn't drink. Your mother brought me home. Because I was here getting ready. You had a work call. I had a job. So did Diane. He looked toward the hall. You're doing it again. What? Turning details into a verdict. I sat on the edge of the bed. The mattress dipped in the familiar place beneath my left hip. You helped me, I said. Cole said nothing. You cleaned a mess I left. You removed alcohol I might have found. You got food. You talked to Mara and your mother because they were scared. All of that helped me. But you also took my bedroom and told your wife you had to stay in it because I couldn't be trusted. He picked at the blue tape on his thumb. If you tell Dana the first part, he said, she might understand the second. I'll tell her you helped and that you needed me here. No, you just said I needed help. I did not need you living in my bedroom. It was contaminated. It was a room, Cole. It was where you hid everything. So, why did you want to sleep there? His fingers stopped moving. The question changed something. I saw it happen before he answered. I didn't at first. When did you? When I moved the bed? Why? He walked to the window and looked down at the driveway. Dana would have parked there dozens of times over the years. Holiday dinners, summer cookouts. The afternoon she and Cole came to tell us they had found a house they loved. I saw the closet, he said. All those bottles. I saw your clothes and your books and the pictures on the dresser. Everything looked normal except for what was hidden behind it. I waited. I was angry, he continued. Then I started moving things. The room got emptier and it felt... What? Good. The word came out quietly. He turned from the window. I wanted it empty. I wanted your things in boxes. I wanted you to come home and see that the house hadn't waited for you. I looked at him. I told myself the guest room was safer. I told Mara that. I told Mom. I read all this stuff about changing the environment, but I wanted you to feel like a guest. There it was. Not a misunderstanding. Not a badly designed safety plan, a decision. Cole rubbed the tape from his thumb until the skin beneath it turned red. You made everybody a guest here, he said. Even when we lived here. Everything depended on your mood. If you were in a good mood, we could stay at the table. If you weren't, everybody disappeared. He was talking about the past, but he was not turning himself into a child. He was describing the adult version too. When Mom left, you made me come over every weekend, he said. I was 31. I had a wife and a house. You'd call and say you needed help with something, then I'd get here, and the thing was already done. You wanted company, but you wouldn't ask for it. That's true. I'd stay because I thought you might drink. Then you'd complain that Dana was always calling. I remember, you told me she needed to let me have a life. I closed my eyes. I'd been married 4 years. I know. She was my life. I know. You put my overnight bag in the hall once. I remembered that more clearly than I wanted. Cole had stayed 3 nights after Diane left. On the 4th morning, I carried his bag out of the den and told him he was beginning to settle in. I had said it lightly. He had driven home before breakfast. I called you a guest, I said. Yes, I'm sorry. You don't get it. I think I do. No. I wanted you to see the tubs in the hall. I wanted you to ask permission to use your own bathroom. I wanted to be the one who decided when you were ready. His eyes were wet, though his voice remained level. I wanted you to know what it felt like. The instinct to defend myself arrived with perfect clarity. I could have said that packing a 31-year-old man's overnight bag was not the same as taking a 62-year-old man's bedroom. I could have listed every meal, every borrowed tool, every check I had written, every time Cole entered the house without knocking. All the evidence was available. I let it remain unused. I taught you a house could tell someone whether they belonged, I said. Cole looked down. I was cruel to you. What you did was cruel to me. Both are true. He wiped one eye with the back of his hand, irritated by it. So what now? You don't have to trust me. That's not an answer. You don't have to trust my sobriety yet. You don't have to forgive me because I stayed 60 days sober or because I apologized well. He looked toward the door. But you cannot punish me sober for what I did drunk and call it help. The clock ticked behind us, 3 minutes ahead of everything. Cole walked into the hallway. He reached for the C first. The painter's tape released with a dry, tearing sound. He folded the tape over itself, peeled the black letter free, and placed it on his palm. The O came away cleanly. The L stretched slightly at the corner. The E left a faint black edge that he rubbed with his thumb. Underneath, the paint held 4 dull rectangles where the vinyl had protected it from the cleaning solution. Cole stood with his name in his hand. I don't know where I'm going tonight, he said. You can sleep in the guest room. He looked at me sharply. For a few nights, I added. If you need to. Not because I'm incapable of being alone, and not because Dana has to take you back. You want me here? I'm offering you a room. I'm not offering you an excuse. He looked at the 4 letters again. I don't think I should stay. All right. That answer hurt him. I saw it. It also respected him. The doorbell rang downstairs. Dana. Cole closed his fist around the letters. You'll talk to her? I'll tell her you helped clean the house. I'll tell her I did not ask you to move in. I won't explain your marriage, and I won't tell her what to do. That's not much. It's what's true. We went downstairs. Dana stood on the porch in a dark green sweater, no coat despite the cold. When Cole opened the door, she looked first at him, then beyond him at me. I don't want a trial, she said. Neither do I replied. Cole stepped aside. Before she entered, he opened his hand. The black vinyl letters rested against his palm, bent and useless. I lied about the bedroom, he said. Dana looked at the letters, then at his face. "Yes," she said. "You did." He nodded. There was no forgiveness in her answer. There was no argument either. I walked upstairs and entered my bedroom. The door remained open, but their voices below stayed low enough that I could not hear the words. I did not move closer. I unpacked my duffel, shirts in the dresser, socks in the top drawer, the aftercare folder and the gray stone went beside the brass clock. I placed the 60-day chip between them. Then I closed the bedroom door. On the other side, where my son's name had been, 4 clean shadows remained. I sat on the bed and listened to the clock. 3 minutes ahead. Downstairs, a chair scraped. Dana spoke for a long time without Cole interrupting. I could not make out her words, only the shape of them. Once, Cole raised his voice. I said, "I know." Dana answered softly and his voice dropped again. I picked up the gray stone from the nightstand. It fit into my palm with no useful purpose. The first urge was to go downstairs and defend him. The second was to go downstairs and confirm everything Dana said. Both would have put me back in the middle, where I had spent years claiming I did not want to be. I stayed in the room. An hour later, the front door opened and closed. Cole tapped twice on my bedroom door. Not a knock, so much as a warning. "Come in." He opened it, but remained in the hallway. His eyes were swollen. The vinyl letters were no longer in his hand. "Dana left," he said. "I heard. She wants me to get my own place. That makes sense. Does everything she says make sense now? No. You agreed fast. You've been living here because you didn't know where else to go. Getting somewhere else seems reasonable. She said she won't talk about me coming home while I'm hiding here. Then don't hide here." He leaned against the frame. "I thought you said I could use the guest room. You can. That sounds like hiding. It depends what you tell people." He looked at the nightstand. The chip caught the lamplight. "Can I see that?" I handed it to him. He turned the chip over, reading both sides. 60 days, 61 now. You're counting the 2 days before treatment. I was sober. You were sick. I was still sober. He handed it back. I missed it. I didn't tell you. I should have known. How? I knew when you checked in. That was a busy day. I remember dates. I know. His mouth tightened at the phrase, but he did not object. "I'm going to stay at a hotel tonight," he said. "You don't have to." I know. That answer belonged to him. He took his rolled mattress and 2 boxes to the car. I helped with the second monitor. At the trunk, he tried to lift it from my hands too quickly, and we nearly dropped it. "Your side," I said. "They're both the same monitor." We looked at each other. He smiled first. It lasted less than a second. After he drove away, I locked the front door and returned upstairs. The bedroom felt too large. My clothes hung in the closet again. My books were stacked on the floor, waiting for a shelf. The bed stood where it had always stood, but the mattress had shifted 3 inches to the right during assembly. I pulled it into place. Then I checked the closet. Nothing. I opened the suitcase where Cole had found 6 bottles. Empty. I got down and looked under the bed. Dust, 1 loose bolt, no liquor. There had been nothing during our search. There was still nothing. My mind kept insisting that a hidden bottle would appear if I checked with sufficient honesty. I called Leonard. "Home?" he asked. "Yes." "Alone?" "Yes." "How is it? Quiet? That bad?" "I keep searching. For what? You know? Find anything?" "No." "Want me to come over?" "No." "Want me to stay on the phone while you search the chimney?" "I don't have a chimney. Good. 1 less place." I sat on the floor beside the bed. Cole removed the name. "You make 'em?" "No." "Good." "Why is that good?" "Because if you made 'em, you'd spend the next month making sure everybody knew. I'm not that bad." Leonard said nothing. "Fine. Go make coffee," he said. "Sit in your ugly chair. Call me before you go to bed." The chair is classic. The chair has a drinking stain. It has history. So did the mug. I looked at the faint circle on the carpet where my nightstand had stood before we returned it. "You've been talking to Ellis." "Who's Ellis?" "Never mind. I slept badly. Every sound belonged to an intruder or a bottle falling in a room where neither existed." At 4:12, I carried my pillow downstairs and slept in the recliner until sunlight reached the windows. Mara woke me by knocking hard enough to frighten years off my life. When I opened the door, she looked past me. "Where's Cole?" "Hotel. He called me last night and said he was moving out." "He is." "You let him go to a hotel?" He's 37. He was upset. So was I. She entered without waiting. He wouldn't tell me what happened with Dana. Then I won't either. She turned. You know, some. And you're not going to tell me? No. Her expression changed from irritation to confusion. What am I supposed to do? Nothing. He's my brother. You can ask how he is. He won't answer. That's his decision. Since when do we just let people not answer? There it was. She heard it too. Mara sat on the arm of the gray chair. God, she said. I went to the kitchen and started coffee. She followed. What happened to the schedule? She asked. I slid it under Cole's door. Of course you did. It was passive-aggressive. Did you learn that word at treatment? I knew the word. I learned the hyphen. She almost smiled. I poured coffee into the world's best dad mug and gave Mara a plain one. Why do I get the plain mug? You gave me this. I was angry when I bought it. I suspected. You missed my birthday lunch? I remember. You arrived with flowers from a gas station. They were flowers. They had a price sticker. I wanted you to know I hadn't stolen them. She wrapped both hands around her coffee. What did Cole do with the letters? I don't know. Did he admit why he put them up? Yes. She waited. I drank. You're really not telling me. He should. Mara stared into her cup. This feels rude. It probably does. What if what he did affects me? Then he should tell you that too. She looked toward the stairs. Can I see the room? If you want. At the door, she stopped. The 4 clean shadows showed clearly in the morning light. He really put his whole name there, she said. He committed. She entered after me. The books still lined the wall. My winter clothes were piled on the bench at the foot of the bed because I had run out of hangers. Mara touched the brass clock. Grandpa's clock, still fast. You know you can fix that. Apparently, everyone thinks so. She sat on the bed. When I came home after the engagement dinner, my coat smelled like the garage, she said. I remained standing. I washed it twice. I ended up giving it away. I'm sorry, don't do the prepared one. I haven't prepared this one. Good. She looked at the shadows on the door. That dinner was supposed to be about me, for once. I know. She glanced at me. Sorry. No, you're right. I made everyone wait while I disappeared. Then I made the rest of the night about finding me. You didn't do it on purpose. I didn't plan it. That isn't the same. Her eyes filled, but she blinked the tears back. You told me you went outside because it was loud. I lied. I believed you for maybe 5 minutes. I know what I said at the hospital, about the garage door. I know I made you argue about whether you were allowed to be scared. You already apologized for that. I'm apologizing for taking the dinner from you, for making one more good thing in your life arrive with an emergency attached. Mara stared at the floor. I don't want to grade your apologies. You don't have to. I don't know whether I forgive you. You don't have to know today. She nodded once. Are you going to call me every day? I asked. I was planning to. Don't. Her head lifted. We could get coffee Wednesday if you want. You're scheduling me now? Apparently it runs in the family. She smiled then, though tears remained in her eyes. All right. Wednesday. Cole found a furnished studio 3 days later. He called and asked whether I could help move his desk. Your desk is in my living room, I said. I know where it is. I'm confirming context. Can you help? Yes. The studio was on the 2nd floor of a brick building above a dental office. It had one main room, a narrow kitchen, and furniture chosen to offend no one. The couch was beige. The walls were beige. Even the artificial plant looked beige. Cole stood in the center of it. It's temporary. Defined space. He looked toward the front door. No name. Management discourages vinyl. We carried the desk upstairs in pieces. The top caught on the landing, and a woman from the 3rd floor stepped over us without comment. By the time we finished, Cole's shirt was damp, and my back had begun issuing formal complaints. Dana had dropped off 2 suitcases and a box of his clothes. She had not stayed. I did not ask. Cole plugged in a monitor. I told her I made up the part about you asking me to stay. How did that go? She said she knew. Of course. I also told her why I took the room. I waited. She didn't say much. She may need time. I know. I raised my eyebrows. Sorry, he said. I've been exposed to it. The following Sunday, Cole came to the house for dinner. Mara and Diane were there. Dana was not. We ate at the dining table without papers or schedules. Halfway through the chicken, Cole put down his fork. I need to tell you something, he said. Mara looked at me. I kept eating, Cole told them. He did not soften it. He admitted he had used my recovery as cover for his separation. He admitted that he wanted me in the guest room. He told Mara the safety plan had been partly real and partly punishment. Mara's face went pale. You let me defend you? Yes. You told me Dad was manipulating us. He was sometimes. That doesn't answer me. No, it doesn't. Diane sat back. We were all managing Martin instead of talking to him, she said. That does not make what Cole did okay, Mara replied. No. Cole looked at his sister. I'm sorry. She did not accept it. She also did not leave. We finished dinner badly. The chicken cooled. Nobody knew how to move to dessert. Afterward, Cole washed dishes while Mara dried. They spoke in short, careful sentences that did not include me. Diane stood beside me in the living room. Don't look so pleased, she said. I'm not. You are a little. Maybe a little. This family is not healed because someone else admitted something. I know. She looked at me. I understand. Better? After everyone left, I went upstairs. The adhesive shadows remained on the bedroom door. I rubbed one with a damp cloth, but it did not fade. My phone buzzed. Cole had sent a message. I bought paint. Don't start without me. I read it twice, then set the phone beside the 60-day chip. For once, waiting did not feel like surrender. Cole arrived Saturday morning with a gallon of white paint, 2 rollers, a packet of sandpaper, and no drop cloth. You bought everything except the thing that keeps paint off the floor. I thought you had one. It's in the garage under 5 bags of empty bottles. His face changed. That was a joke, I said. I know, not a good one. No, I'm working on timing. He set the supplies in the hallway and went to the garage. He returned with an old canvas tarp that smelled like grass clippings and spread it beneath the bedroom door. You bought flat paint, I said. It's white. The doors are semi-gloss. White is white. That explains your apartment. He read the label on the can. Why are there so many kinds? So fathers and sons can continue arguments after the important subjects are exhausted. We drove back to the hardware store. Cole stood in front of the paint display, comparing cards that appeared identical. I leaned against the cart and watched him hold each one beneath the fluorescent light. This is warmer, he said. It's white. You just said white isn't white. I was wrong. He looked at me. That was quick. I'm trying a new thing. We bought semi-gloss, primer, adhesive remover, and a drop cloth. Cole added a scraper even though I owned 3. At home, he took the bedroom door off its hinges. We carried it downstairs and laid it across 2 sawhorses in the garage. The 4 clean rectangles showed more clearly in daylight. Cole sprayed adhesive remover over the shadows. I should have used paper, he said. You shouldn't have used anything. I know. We both stopped. You're right, he said. It spreads. The adhesive came away in gummy black rolls. We scraped carefully, but the E had left a shallow outline in the paint. We'll need to sand it, I said. I bought sandpaper. You did. Before you insulted my paint. I'm proud of you. Don't overdo it. He sanded while I moved the bags of bottles toward the garage door. They had been waiting for recycling since before I left for Maple House. Cole looked over. I can do that. I know. They're heavy. I noticed when I filled them. He lowered the sandpaper. You don't have to make every bottle a confession. I'm moving bags. You said that like, Cole? He stopped. I tied a loose bag and lined it with the others. I don't know how to talk around this yet, I said. Sometimes I'm making a joke. Sometimes I'm admitting something. Sometimes a bag is a bag. He considered that. Which was this? A little of all 3. Okay. We loaded the bottles into my car. At the recycling center, the attendant directed us to a green container labeled mixed glass. Each bag broke open when we tipped it. The sound was enormous. Bottle after bottle vanished into the bin. I recognized some by color: brown whiskey bottles, clear vodka, the green gin. I had carried all of them into the house one at a time and hidden them as if secrecy changed the total. Cole stood beside me with his hands in his coat pockets. You all right? He asked. I don't know. He nodded. It was a better question when he did not answer it for me. We returned to the garage and primed the door. While it dried, Cole opened the windows, and I made coffee. We sat at the kitchen table with flecks of white paint on our hands. Dana agreed to counseling, he said. Couples? One together. Then she decides whether she wants another. That sounds fair. It sounds like an audition. Maybe don't treat it like one. He gave me a tired look. I know. Sorry. No, you're right. I keep thinking if I say everything correctly, she'll have to believe I've changed. You've had 4 days. 5. That extra day changes everything. He smiled. She said the problem is, I still think there's a correct argument that gets me back into the house. What did you say? That I understood. And did you? No. Good answer. I didn't tell her that part. Maybe start there. He rubbed a spot of dried paint from his thumb. What if she doesn't come back? She lives in the house. You know what I mean. Yes. What if this is it? I could have told him it would not be. Parents tell lies like that because helplessness feels negligent. I don't know, I said. He looked toward the garage. That's all? That's all I have. My whole life, you had an answer. Most were guesses with good posture. He laughed then. Not the polite breath he used when he wanted a conversation to end. A real laugh. The primer dried unevenly. We sanded again, then painted the first coat. Cole used the roller. I followed with a brush around the recessed panels. The outline of his name disappeared beneath wet white paint. He watched it go. Where are the letters? I asked. Trash? All of them? Yes. I thought you might keep them. Why? I don't know. I don't want them. He rolled over the place where the C had been. Mara's still angry. She has a right. I apologized. So did I. Nobody issued me a completion certificate. She won't answer when I ask if we're okay. Stop asking. How am I supposed to know? You wait until she tells you. He set the roller in the tray. I hate waiting. I know. He looked at me. I did that on purpose. So did I. The first coat needed 2 hours. We went upstairs and stood in my bedroom. The furniture had been restored to its old positions, but it no longer looked right. The dresser covered the pale rectangle. The bed sat beneath the window. My books were back on the same shelves. It felt like a room assembled from a photograph rather than one where somebody lived. I'm moving the bed, I said. Where? Other wall. You won't be able to see the clock. I can move the clock. The outlet's behind the dresser. It doesn't plug in. Cole looked at the brass clock as if noticing it for the first time. Right. We moved the bed to the wall opposite the window. I put the dresser where the desk had been. The chair from the corner went downstairs, and the frame print of the artificial-looking fishing boat took its place on the wall. Cole stood in the center of the room. It looks smaller. It's the same room. I know. Defines space. He shook his head. I opened the closet. The empty suitcase sat on the shelf. I'm getting rid of that. Because of the bottles. Because the handle's broken. Good. It can be both. We carried it to the garage. The second coat dried without shadows. When we rehung the door, it stuck at the top because the paint was still soft. Cole adjusted the hinge twice. The third time, it closed smoothly. He stood in the hallway, looking at the blank surface. No name, he said. No name. How will you know it's yours? I'll risk confusion. He gathered the brushes and rollers. At the front door, I said, Thank you. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. He nodded. Call me if the paint peels. I'll call a professional. Good. After he left, I went upstairs and opened the bedroom door. The white was slightly brighter than the other doors. Anyone paying attention would know something had been covered. I decided that was all right. Mara met me for coffee on Wednesday. She arrived 7 minutes late and did not apologize, which I took as progress. We sat near the window of a place that served coffee in cups too wide to stay hot. She told me about a disagreement at work. I listened without suggesting what she should say, whom she should email, or why her supervisor probably meant something different. When she finished, she narrowed her eyes. What? Nothing. You have an opinion. I have several. Why aren't you giving them? You didn't ask. That's unsettling. I can go back. No. She drank her coffee. After a while, she asked, How many days? 72. She nodded. Then she talked about something else. We met the following Wednesday, too. Some weeks she asked how I was sleeping. Some weeks she forgot. Once she canceled because she wanted to have dinner with her fiancé, and I did not turn it into evidence that she was avoiding me. Diane came by with a box she found in the back of her closet. It held old tax papers, 2 neckties, a flashlight, and a framed photograph of the 4 of us taken when Cole and Mara were adults, but before the divorce. You kept this? I asked. I kept the frame. Of course. She set the box on the dining table. How's the room? Different? Good. You want to see it? No. The answer struck me harder than it should have. Diane saw. I'm not rejecting you, she said. I don't need to inspect your bedroom. I know. Do you? I'm practicing. She touched the back of the red recliner. You cleaned it, as much as it cleans. The stain's still there. Yes. You could replace it. I might. She looked surprised. I gave her the framed family photograph from the box. You can keep the frame. She laughed. At 90 days, Mara brought a cake even though I told her not to. The frosting said 90, without my name. Leonard came wearing a clean shirt and still brought his own peppermints. Diane stayed for coffee. Cole arrived late because his counseling session with Dana ran over. Nobody asked what they had discussed. That required visible effort. Cole and Mara were still careful with each other. At one point, he reached to refill her coffee and she covered her cup. I can pour my own. He set the pot down. All right. She looked guilty. Then she picked it up and filled his cup. It was not forgiveness. It was coffee. I blew out one candle shaped like a 9 and another shaped like a 0. Mara had found them in separate packages, and the 0 leaned dangerously toward the frosting. What did you wish for? She asked. I'm not 6. You're avoiding the question. I wished for people to stop asking questions. That's not going well, Leonard said. After they left, I washed the plates alone. A smear of blue frosting remained on the counter. I wiped it once, missed a spot, and left it until morning. Sobriety did not become easier in a straight line. On day 94, I passed the liquor aisle at the grocery store and had to abandon my cart beside canned soup. On day 97, I dreamed I had hidden a bottle in the brass clock and woke with my hands reaching for it. I opened the clock even though I knew nothing could fit inside. I called Leonard both times. Cole called me once from the parking lot outside the counselor's office. He had argued with Dana during their session and wanted me to tell him whether she was being unfair. I wasn't there, I said. I can explain. I'm sure you can. That sounded sarcastic. It was. He was quiet. I kept asking her to give me an example, he said. She gave me one, and I explained why it was different. What did the counselor say? That I was doing it while she watched. That seems useful. It was humiliating. Those can overlap. He laughed weakly. I wanted to leave. Did you? No. Then you did something different. She still went home alone. That was her decision. I know. The phrase no longer sounded like a shield when he said it. He and Dana did not reconcile quickly. They attended another session, then another. She visited his studio, but did not stay overnight. He stopped giving the family reports designed to make each small improvement sound decisive. When Mara asked whether he was moving home, he said, I don't know. Diane heard about that and called me. He finally learned the sentence, she said. Expensive lesson. Runs in the family. The red recliner left the house in early spring. I did not hold a ceremony. I put it online for free. A retired man named Paul came with his brother and a small trailer. He sat in it, pulled the lever, and declared it perfect. It has a stain, I told him. My brother has stains, Paul said. I still take him places. They loaded it and drove away. I replaced it with a dark blue chair that did not recline. The first night I sat in it, my right hand still moved toward a cup holder that was not there. By summer, the bedroom door no longer looked newly painted. The white had settled into the house. My bed remained on the opposite wall. The brass clock still ran 3 minutes fast beside the gray stone and the 90-day chip. A newer chip sat beside it. Cole came over on a Thursday evening carrying 2 coffees. I was upstairs putting clean shirts into the dresser. The bedroom door stood open. His footsteps reached the landing and stopped. He could see me. I could see him. Still, he raised his hand and knocked against the open door. You know it's open, I said. I noticed. Define space? Something like that? He held up the coffees. Dana and I had a session. How was it? Bad? Useful? Maybe. He did not explain. I did not ask. Cole stayed in the hallway, waiting. The door was blank between us. No label told him the room was his. No schedule told me what answer would prove I was ready. The faint shadows of the letters were gone beneath the paint, but I knew exactly where they had been. Come in, I said. He did.